occupied and barricaded riot following the death of Rayshard Brooks, the man shot dead by police in the parking lot after he resisted arrest, stole a taser, and fired it at the police. It was at this location where one rioter shot at a vehicle, killing 8-year-old Secoria Turner. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A statue of a Black Lives Matter protester springs up in England after crowds toppled a statue of a slave trader.
Anti-racism protesters in Bristol, England, pulled down a statue of slave trader Edward Colston last month, dumping it in a harbour. Now there's an unofficial replacement. A statue of a black woman with her fist raised in the air has been installed on the newly empty plinth. Its likeness of a local resident who'd earlier been photographed climbing onto the platform. British artist Mark Quinn is claiming responsibility and calling it an unauthorised temporary installation. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Americans are expected to spend a record $102 billion in back-to-school shopping next month. Laptop sales are forecast to boom as parents anticipate more online classes because of the pandemic. The National Retail Federation survey projects a 26% increase in sales compared to the same time last year. College spending is also expected to see a sharp increase. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. T.K. Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball will win at Carroll 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's two good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in the second round at Cleghorn, a 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourfortdodge.com. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partial sunshine develops here for this afternoon. We'll see high getting into the upper 70s. Winds out of the northeast between 5 and 10 miles per hour. For tonight, partly cloudy and a low near 56. Thursday, mostly sunny skies, a high of 84 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms, a high of 89. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 72.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com, use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
To keep your vehicle running at its best, keep up with routine maintenance. The certified service techs at Humboldt Motor Sales make maintaining your vehicle easy. They offer convenient hours and competitive prices on all service and parts. And they take care of your GM warranty needs too. From oil changes to tires, brakes to batteries, engine repair and transmission repair, Humboldt Motor Sales can handle it all. Have your vehicle serviced soon at Humboldt Motor Sales. Log on to HumboldtGM.com to schedule an appointment now or call 800-566-8671.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I'm Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth. With me now is the Doctor of Optometry. It's a little bit further down the scale. Of course, I'm talking about City Councilman Terry Minke, poet, warrior, porn star, and pseudo-intellectual. Congratulations on all those titles there, Doctor.
Yeah, most of them are probably not true, but that's fine. Thanks anyway.
Which one, the Doctor of Optometry thing?
Oh, that one, I actually have a degree in that.
You have a degree in optometry?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I've got a master's in clinical vision research and a doctorate in optometry.
Well, do you have an undergraduate degree that includes...
Sioux Falls College.
Sioux Falls College. Well, here, let me finish the question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I assumed you had an undergraduate degree if you had a master's degree.
Yes.
But do you have a undergraduate degree regarding research? Because you're a killer at research.
No, I have a graduate. My master's degree was research-oriented.
Your master's degree was research-oriented, and what was the...
Clinical vision research.
Clinical vision research.
Yeah.
So able to do all that research, you're then
just
able
know where to look.
You just got to know
a lot
where
of
to
papers, a lot of academics, things like that. Basically, my master's thesis was you had to prepare for that. In order to prepare for it, you had to do a lot of research. So part of the degree was learning what you were going to write about and how you're going to, prove that you were writing about something that actually meant something.
You're always giving me grief about winding up
every day
in radio exactly where I started.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't get in the Catholic Mafia. Otherwise, I'd be working over the courthouse in an elected position or over the Growth Alliance.
Yeah, well, you could still run.
If that isn't white privilege, what is?
You could still run. There's nothing stopping you from running, and other than your personality and your outlook towards life.
That does not prevent me from doing anything. I used to, several years ago, when you and I were both in Sertoma, you still are.
Still am.
But... Jack Christensen, who I know and like, and you do too. Is Jack still in Sertoma?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I was going to run for the school board. There was somebody resigned. I can't remember. This was 25 years ago, and Jack just couldn't get over it, And I thought, I'm going to run just to show Jack that I can and have a good time doing it. But I never got it done.
Nah.
But I would be a fun candidate. Bill Doan, remember him?
Yeah,
Wild Bill Doan.
Yep.
He ran for the city council one year. Wow.
Yeah, Yeah, Doan. He ran the Doan family.
Doan
Trust.
family, and he took his mother to parties and to events. And
he was a big supporter of the arts, I think. And
I think he was.
And a lot of his, I guess, his art collection, which was family-oriented, ended up in Waterloo. Is there a Black History Museum over there?
He was mad at the people who were on the board at the Blandon at the time, which is really unfortunate because, he was a unique individual, to say the very, very least.
Very least, yeah.
But he did have tremendous ability as an artist. And, he did a lot of things around his family and for Dodge and this area. And again, just before he died, he got in some big deal with the Blandon, and so we don't have those paintings here. But here's a guy who was born and raised here, talented guy. He was out there, I'll tell you.
Fort Dodge does have a strong history of people being out there.
This used to be such a fun town, Gosh, you could go from bar to bar to bar, and each one had its own cast of characters,
The guy you should get on sometime is Bob Boger, because Bob knew all those people.
Boger? Big Bob.
Bob used to have stories. He could tell stories.
Bob was one of the characters.
He knew a lot of people in town, a lot of the older people, some of our founding fathers, if you want to call them that. Yeah, the good old days when Amvers was the place to be after a council meeting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I used to go out to, I'd go into Anvers or the community, and Jerry Snyder, who was a radio guy and a great guy, was on the council off and on. And I'd run into him at both those places, and in those days, of course, people had more respect for their office, unlike you. And they would wear coats and ties to city council meetings. You show up in a T-shirt that says F this or something?
No. Typically, I go from the office to the council meeting.
Oh, really? So you show the same sort of respect to your patients as you do to the council.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, Jerry'd be there. And I also, I won't mention his name, but I'm told I wasn't there, but I can believe this all the way, that one of our founders, as you say, in the early 70s, and it was New Year's Eve, and it was brutally cold as it can be in the Midwest New Year's Eve, walks into the, at that time it was not the Top Hat, not Scarlett O'Hara's. Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody help me.
Hungry Eye?
Hungry Eye, thank you very much.
Why would I know that?
I don't know.
It was texted to me.
It was texted to you?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I used to go there, and I'd sit right down front. Why go if you're going to act timid about it? So anyway, it was a Hungry Eye, brutally cold New Year's Eve, and he walks in wearing a pair of shoes, but other than that, all he's wearing is a big diaper and a banner across his chest that said, Happy 1973 or whatever it was. Walked right up to the bar and ordered a drink.
I can't believe Kim did that.
No, I don't know. If he ever decides to, I'll pay $20 to see that. Anyway, City Manager David Furyk was here yesterday. I know you scrutinized his recording so you could tell him how wrong he was.
I did listen to it, yes.
But I have never seen David Furyk in a diaper and a banner, Happy New Year banner, and I don't think I want to.
No.
All right. So, what did you think of City Manager Furyk's presentation yesterday? Or what goal did you glean from Mr. Furyk's presentation?
No, I think David is obviously much better informed, involved in.
You don't believe that at all.
No, he knows. He knows.
You're the one who's really got the information.
No, David's doing a very good job. I have no problems with David's performance. Never have. Occasionally he forgets to answer questions and things like that.
Like who's the king?
No.
Who the king, Furyk? Huh?
No.
Who the man around here?
No,
you are, Terry. You are.
I know my role and I know my place. So.
No, you don't.
Yep. We did have a council meeting Monday night, and I know David talked about that a little bit. The first thing on the agenda, we were supposed to have a workshop from Rural Housing 360. This is the second time they've scheduled and the second time they haven't shown up, so I don't know if there's something going on there or if they just had a conflict. But what their goal is to bring housing to infill lots in the city. We've got a lot of the houses we've knocked down, abandoned nuisance properties, and just general, attrition over the years. Mm-hmm. The city owns a lot of bare lots, and these people just south of Des Moines, they have an organization that puts together the financing and construction packages for more or less moderate income housing, which they classify $150,000. I don't know if that includes a basement or not, but the city's obligation would be to just basically give them the lot and make it accessible for these individuals, these owners, to come in and put a house up that would be financed and zero down, one of those type of deals. I don't know if it's sweat equity or not, because they've never shown up for the presentation. But I know Vicki and Paige went down there last fall for a presentation, and they invited this gentleman up to talk to us. And so that was our first workshop, but that was canceled. That was supposed to be at 5. We moved into our Florida Rosedale sculpture, and I know we've talked about this numerous times. We did move the sculpture over to the northeast corner on the aquatic center.
And why was that important decision made?
Well, there was a couple of reasons why. First off, there was some concern from some of our major donors at the location, and the roundabout wasn't exactly conducive to viewing of the pig. It might be distracting, for people that have a hard enough time driving around the roundabout. Believe it or not, there's still people that haven't figured that out, how to go around the roundabout yet.
I know, they're your cultural and intellectual inferiors.
No, I didn't say that.
Every now and then I run into a car right by the roundabout by the Fairway store, and there's some cotton-topped lady in the car. I can barely see her hair over the backrest of the car. She's usually from Calhoun County, and she's frozen.
Yeah.
She's afraid. She doesn't know what to do.
They get lost.
Right. So I don't do as others would do, and I suspect you would do. I don't lay on the horn.
No, I had never honked my horn in my truck, to be honest with you. Yeah, but anyway,
we never honked. My
No.
God,
why would I honk my horn? I
You're
don't live in
Paul
Chicago.
Purehart. You are Paul Purehart. You have never honked your
I don't even know if my horn works.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go out and find out at the break. Okay?
Perfect. Yeah, so anyway, we did decide we do want to have some signage around the Floyd project that kind of tells the history, the Ronald Reagan, the fact that, it was a racial, a little bit undertone to the formation of this pig being donated back and forth, whoever wins, I guess.
There was a racial connotation?
Yeah, well, the Ozzy
Simmons.
Yeah,
yes, I do know. It was a pushback, and I talked about it yesterday, by the fine people of Iowa on racism shown by the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, a little aggressive.
So those folks who run around condemning our history and condemning who we are, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because this was in 1934, and Iowa took a stand against racism.
That's right. And that's where the first intercollegiate trophy came up, and that was Florida Rosedale. So this is a very strong history. It's I think, an interesting looking statue. I've actually seen it a few times, and it's heavy, 96 pounds, I believe. The one that
I thought it'd be heavier than that.
The one Flattery carries around is only about 12, but he struggles with that. But the real one, obviously,
Flattery carries around a statue.
Yeah, he's got a replica. So anyway,
well, I have a replica, but it's more like a keychain.
Yeah,
thing.
I believe I gave that to you.
Did you? Thank you.
No, you're welcome. But anyway, it's a Christmas ornament, actually. But we did move it to the north.
Christmas ornament, right.
The northeast corner. It will be on the Rosedale property, south of the Aquatic Center. Russell's Construction has been retained. Dale Merrill is the artist, and it will be done later this fall. We're kind of hoping to have it up in time for the game, but I guess, it's hard telling what's going to happen with all this other stuff that's going on.
It is hard to say, yeah.
But we're hoping to get that up, and it is big. I mean, it's Dave gave the presentation on Monday night, and the height of the console chambers is 14 feet, and that's how tall this pig is going to be. It's going to be 14 feet tall and 15 feet long, so it's a big chunk of metal, and it's going to be a big pig.
I would call on members of the city council.
Again?
Yes, I would. I would call on members of the city council to stand up for their town and state. This pig represents an early and strong stand against racism in the state of Iowa. Not just during a football game, but in the state of Iowa. And we proudly have a connection to that strong stand taken by the University of Iowa and all the people in Iowa from the governor on down. I haven't heard a thing from the city council really about this. I mean, I hear from David Flattery because he's been the driving force behind it. Ferrick even mentioned yesterday, it's kind of ironic that a pitcher from Iowa State is trying to get a statue of something that happened during a University of Iowa football game, and I responded to David. Dave Flattery loves his town.
Yep.
Do the members of the city council love their town enough to come out and say, hey, this was a great thing that we did, a stand against racism and don't call us racist. Well, I can't expect that kind of courage from the city council. But,
well, first off, this isn't a city project. This is a private project.
Oh,
so the city
you
will
lighten up
I'm
about
sure
it. It's
that-
being led by a council member
I'm
all
sure-
the way,
I'm
and it's going to
sure.
be on city property, and you want to sit over there and equivocate because you don't want to say anything now. So you know where my next question is.
No, we're very proud of the history of Florida Rosedale, and I think it's going to
Is
be
that a
brought,
prepared statement?
No,
I mean,
it's
you
going to be
write it
it's-
down over
no.
there?
You got to remember, I've been involved in this project for about 7 years.
Oh,
myself,
yeah.
so-
I see. But it wasn't a city project.
No, David and I are representing.
God.
We're a group of private individuals. This is all donor driven. There's no city money
That's
involved
right.
in this.
But is there city property involved?
Yes, the city.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to take a corner that has to be mowed and maintained anyway. So, yeah, if you want a strong statement.
See, that is equivocation. That is a textbook definition of equivocation. Well, it's not city property, but it's private donations led by 2 city councilmen. I mean, what the hell are you
Once
talking
again,
about?
I'm glad I showed up to take this abuse.
I was ready for you today.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
just telling you.
ready
I mean, the pig will be brought up. The pig has been funded. We've been fundraising for this for some time, and we've had several very good donations. Tom and Norma Schmoker, the Deerdorf Foundation, the Smeltzer Foundation, First American State Bank. What's the name of the new credit union that bought State Bank?
Greenfield?
No, it's not Greenfield. It's
I
a
don't
trucking
know.
company.
Is that?
Well,
that is
I
right.
don't even know if they're around anymore.
Greenfield Trucking? Well, they haven't been in Fort Dodge for several years. Actually, my wife worked out there for a couple of years, and they moved or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, Avella Bank was a big donor of it, and we've had a lot of private donations. So we've raised enough money. It's going to be well lit. The interesting thing is we had to have Iowa and Minnesota both sign off on this. We could not create a replica of the Florida Rosedale because of copyright.
Iowa and Minnesota.
Yep, we had to get both of them to sign off, and we could not use the tiger hawk, and we couldn't use the gopher as identification on the wall that we're putting up. We're going to put Florida Rosedale on a little knee wall up in front, but we can put the I, the capital I, and we can put the M there, but we can't put the logos, the Hawkeye. And
well, did Minnesota cop to being a bunch of racist gophers?
no, they didn't. They're very enthused about this program. They're going to be very supportive with their advertising. They seem to think it's going to be a major economic development for Fort Dodge and the region because they seem to think that a lot of people are going to come and want to get their pictures taken.
I want justice. I want a big chunk of money from Minnesota because that's the definition of justice,
Yeah.
Give us cash. Why should we miss out?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you're feeling picked on.
No, I'm not feeling picked on. I'm just
you're
getting
regretting coming here because you're taking all this abuse just because you're trying to sneakily weasel your way out of something.
No.
Let me apologize now. I'll apologize.
No, that's
Go
fine.
ahead, read the community calendar because I know you brought that.
No, I didn't. I don't really know what's going on this week. I have no idea at all. This week, as
I
far
think we
as
may have
know,
arrived at the real reason you're uncomfortable here today.
They're just, I don't know. I don't have anything.
You don't have anything?
No, I guess I should have called Shelley or somebody and found out what's going on in the fine arts people, I don't
Oh,
know.
no.
No?
You and I are one of the top personalities in radio today.
That's kind of frightening, isn't it? If this is
In
all the
Fort Dodge
if
radio,
this is
I
all
should
the
say.
better that gets.
In
Wow.
Fort Dodge radio.
I'm struggling with that.
I don't know. I don't know if me giving sports instruction to Randy and Nevin on Friday is better or not. No, I don't think it is. No.
Randy was there, but actually the Community Foundation is kind of spearheading some of this for the Florida Rosedale. So we've turned a lot of the, the
What was the name
contract-
of Randy's group again?
Randy Kuhlman?
Yeah, Community
Foundation.
The community was involved in Florida Rosedale.
It was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a big committee.
Community.
Why?
Yeah,
You weren't
like-
invited.
Like in the city.
Because we actually wanted people who would show up and contribute.
Oh, is that right? Well, I'd have given them $10.
So,
what do you
yeah,
want?
yeah.
$10? Are you in here begging for $10?
We could use more than 10 because the more money
How
we
much
raise.
more do you need? Because I know you've
1,000.
got more money than God.
1,000. Yeah. So anyway, moving through the agenda on Monday night, we
All
did
right.
have the another part of the community sewer initiative, our $85 million that we were told a few years ago that we need to do. We've spent a lot of money in the last few years. In the last probably 2 or 3 years, we've concentrated on the south end of town, although they are working up by Duncombe School. Rash is doing about a $3 million project up there as we speak. But on Monday night, we did award a sewer improvement, and that's, as David talked about yesterday, where they go in and line the storm sewers to prevent leakage in some of the old Rather than tearing them up, they will have to tear up some of them probably, but sealing off some of the leakage in the storm sewers, and also they're going to rehabilitate some of the manhole covers, which is really exciting. But that was a $2.8 million project, so it's a lot of money. And that company is out of Hudson, Iowa.
Hudson, Iowa.
Hudson, Iowa. Municipal Pipe and Tool Company. We had, I think, 5 different groups that submitted offers on that job, and none of them were local. Apparently, that's a fairly specialized thing that they're doing. So they brought in somebody that has done this before, obviously.
That's a good thing.
Yep. So you'll see them around the Duncombe School area. They continually work on that. You'll see a lot of construction up there on 6th Avenue North. Rash is moving a lot of dirt. Rash also got called in over by Marion Home and the Holy Trinity Parish Place. They were doing some work over there, and they found one of our storm sewers had been washing out and had a little sinkhole there on the street. I think it's 6th Avenue North that runs.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, because that's a lot of traffic goes by there, and it'd be kind of devastating if the road caved in. So they fixed that. That was a $30-some thousand bill that we got for that, but we're thankful that Rash was there and was able to get right on it because they were in the neighborhood, and Colossia was over there working on the church. So that church is coming nice. You should go over there and look at it. I'm hoping to get a tour one of these days. I haven't been in it yet. It looks like it's very nice.
Well, you're a Lutheran.
Yeah, but I can get in. I can,
Your kids went to St. Edmunds, right?
Yeah,
because
both of them.
You're afraid that your kids would be corrupted in the
No,
high school.
no. We actually lived on the outskirts of town, and they had a choice of going to Manson or going into town, and we decided to come here since it was a lot closer than going to Manson.
So how's the Catholic choice come in for a Lutheran couple like you and Pam?
We were good friends with with Phil and Joe Stevenson, and
and who are Catholic.
Yes, and that's how we got into it.
Do you think the Catholics run the universe?
No, we're not going.
We're
not going to go down that road because all you're going to do is
I was born and raised Catholic. I still show up at Mass every now and then. I know what's going on.
My family was Catholic up until about 40 years ago.
What's that? What are you talking about?
Well, one of my members of my ancestors married a Protestant. And so
your son was married a Protestant?
No, it was like my grandfather.
Oh,
married a Protestant, and so there was some family discussion. So he ended up being disowned.
Well, Menke's kind of a German Lutheran name. As a matter of fact, wasn't it General Menke that was the last general in charge of Berlin?
Yes, he was.
I don't think.
But I don't know. I haven't looked to see that.
You don't even want to know about that.
I didn't want Homeland Security to be calling me up on that.
I don't know. If you look at the composition of the Board of Supervisors, Dinklaw, was a Lutheran. He just got on because he converted.
Yeah.
He converted, left the Lutheran Church, joined the Catholic Church. Bam, instant supervisor.
In there. Well, outside the fact he's related to everybody in his district.
And if he isn't, his wife is.
Somehow or other. Yeah, I did drive by First Avenue South on the way over here. They're cleaning up over there. Looks like they're moving cones around. It looks like most of the work has been done. So I would imagine First South's going to be open relatively shortly. Maybe Tony, could update us on that. Tony Trotter, the engineer, but
Tony won't talk to me.
Yeah, he won't talk to me very much either. But I think probably next week then they'll move the work up to Central Avenue, which is going to be nice when it's done. So it's not going to get done probably until first part of November, but it's going to be very nice in that area when they get it all smoothed out. Mm-hmm. It's going to be beautiful.
All right.
Anybody else you want to insult before we leave?
No. Let's see. Bemrick. Yeah, that's right. What church does Bemrick go to? Aha! I think the Catholics have taken over the new
No,
universe.
I don't even want to go there.
You don't want to go there?
No.
Okay, because you're afraid of their wrath, right? You'll be kicked out of the council and out of town?
No, I don't think so.
He was a little hesitant when he said that, wasn't he? Anyway, City Councilman Menke is our guest. We'll be back.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 2:33. Councilman Menke may not be kicked out of town because he's a Lutheran. We'll just have to see after the news.
Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit card.
Hey, couch surfers, we've got nonstop tunes to keep you rocking while you work. Oh, and Colleen, yes, you Colleen with a K. Your free trial of Movie Plus ends tomorrow, and your card may be charged. Do you want to continue or cancel?
So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant. Eno looks out for surprise charges, like when free trials expire, and helps if you need to fix them. Eno, another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Limitations apply.
Big news! David Horowitz's new book, Blitz, just hit the New York Times bestseller list. Blitz reveals the real agenda of Antifa and the secret billionaires out to stop President Trump. Mike Huckabee says if everyone read Blitz, Trump would win. You've seen David Horowitz on Newsmax TV. He predicts more attacks on Trump this summer. Get David Horowitz's new bestseller, Blitz, at bookstores. Or get the free offer and save $28. Call 800-NEWSMAX or go to blitz411.com. That's blitz411.com.
There's nothing like the open road, the countryside, the freedom, roar of the engine. You know, the wind feels great on my face, but your bumper? Not so much. Look, all we're asking is for you to look twice and keep us in mind when you're out on the road. Hey, I'm 6'3", 280 pounds, but I still fit in your blind spot.
Fenders bend, bones don't. This reminder to share the road with motorcycles is brought to you by the Iowa Department of Public Safety, Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. TK Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's two good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in a second round at Cleghorn. A 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. We'll be back with City Councilman Terry Minke in just a couple of minutes. First of all, the weather forecast, that's what we're interested in. It's 71 degrees right now. We have a slight chance of thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Overnight, some fog, otherwise mostly clear with a low of 56, which is pretty cool for this time of year. Fog in the early morning, otherwise sunny tomorrow with a high of 84. Friday, chance of a thunderstorm, sunny with a high of 88. And on Saturday, sunny with a high of 94. Sunday, there'll be a slight chance of a thunderstorm, otherwise sunny with a high of 90. Monday, again, showers, thunderstorms, maybe. Then sunny with a high of 86. We're going to have these little storm clouds run across our state and our town every now and then. That's the way that it is every summer. On Tuesday, again, maybe a thunderstorm, sunny with a high of 84. Right now in town, I'm going to refresh here and give you the latest temperature. Here it comes, it's 70, exactly what it was the last time around. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Gunderson Funeral Home is in service to Virgil McLean. For more information on the funeral services for Mr. Virgil McLean, please go to the Gunderson Funeral Home website at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Carol Reese has died at the age of 74. Carol J. Reese of Fort Dodge passed away yesterday at the Paula J. Baber Hospice Home. Services are pending for Carol Reese. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. 70 degrees, partly cloudy at AM 1400 KVFD. It's 241. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a quarter penny at $3.26 1/4. December up a quarter cent at $3.34. March unchanged at $3.44 1/2. May unchanged at $3.51 3/4. August soybeans up 8 1/4 at $8.86 1/4. September beans up 6 1/2 at $8.80 3/4. November up 5 1/4 at $8.82 3/4. January up 4 cents at $8.87 1/4. September wheat closed up 24 cents at $5.50 3/4. Soybean meal up 60 cents a ton at $2.85.80. August live cattle up $2.50 at $101.30. October up $1.45 at $104.55. August feeders up $2.70 at $139.42. September up $2.07 at $139.55. July lean hogs up 52 cents at $47.32, and August up 22 at $50.15. I am Dwayne Murley.
Attention homeowners, this is Robert Maddox of Hahn Roofing. Need a new roof? Who can you trust? Hahn Roofing. Hahn Roofing is state licensed, a member of the Better Business Bureau, and your local Chamber of Commerce. We have worked hard over the years satisfying thousands of customers, which has earned us the status of an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor throughout Iowa. As a Platinum contractor, Hahn Roofing has the ability to offer you a lifetime limited warranty which covers the material with no depreciation for the life of your roof and our labor for 25 years. Say goodbye to the worries of high insurance claim deductibles by installing a new Owens Corning Duration 130 miles per hour wind-resistant shingle. By choosing Hahn Roofing and Owens Corning, you could make your next roof your last roof. If Owens Corning can trust Hahn Roofing that much, then you can too. Call today, 515-573-7440 for your free estimate, 515-573-7440. That's 515-573-7440.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I'm the Doctor of Truth here with the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Terry Minke, who's also a city council person. So I have to ask if you sent your children to St. Edmunds just because you knew there was going to be a political career in your future and you needed a little Catholic Mafia connection.
No.
You do remember what happened to Merrill Leffner, don't you?
Yeah. We just didn't want to drive to Manson every day.
Just didn't want to drive to Manson.
Well, the kids were involved in sports, both of them wrestled, and so it was...
Right, what, they didn't have wrestling over at Fort Dodge Junior High, or what?
Yeah, we could have gone to senior high, but like I said, we didn't. We chose St. Edmund.
Thought it was too dangerous for...
No. Nope. I think they got a very good education. They were a little perplexed over some of the, the religion stuff because they hadn't been brought up that way with all the saints and stuff.
Like, why do the nuns wear black? You know what? You know what that is?
I have no idea.
Well, those are actually traditional mid 15th century bridal gowns. The bridal gowns at the time were white, but since the nuns are actually married to Jesus Christ, they have to wear black, waiting for their betrothed to come back and get with them, I guess. So that's the deal with...
Can't remember the last time I saw a nun actually wearing a habit.
Well, when I was young, of course, I went to Catholic school. That's what all the nuns had on, and they were formidable, actually frightening. But I think it's a matter of choice now. I know Sister Jane, who worked out at where.
Is she the hospice?
Hospice. The hospice was a word. I mean, she didn't go for it. She said, "Well, I did when I was a younger person, but I certainly don't want to do it now." It was always a pain in the neck to get all that on. So.
Yeah, I know. When I grew up in Rochester, we had St. Mary's Hospital there, which is associated with the Mayo Clinic, and they had a large number. They actually had a convent in Fort Dodge, and Rochester. We used to live adjacent to it and used to go up and borrow apples from them, and they didn't like that very much. They used to shoot at us with rock salt. But they always had several nuns running around St. Mary's, and last time I was up there, they told me there was one nun that they still had in the facility, and she had an office in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see them. But I can remember when
or was it a dungeon? She preferred some dungeon.
But my aunt,
because I'll tell you, the sisters, the presentation preferred dungeon.
My aunt actually worked in Rochester at the clinic, and I can remember visiting her on the job as a nurse and seeing all the nuns running around. But they used them as caregivers up there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But like everything else, it's kind of dropped off. The interests of the young people is, both in the priesthood and in the nuns have dropped dramatically.
Teddy Kennedy always used to talk about being a member of the Catholic Church, and of course, when Kennedy was first in office in Massachusetts, being a member of the Catholic Church and being an Irish member of the Catholic Church meant something. Well, Kennedy, of course, had, I don't know what he actually believed. I don't know what most politicians actually believe, but Kennedy had to support abortion rights as a Democrat. And he visited his home state once, and a large group of anti-abortion protesters were waiting for him, reminding him that he was a phony in the church's eyes and a liar and a sinner in the church's eyes. They wound up chasing him to his limo. I always thought, and I saw a short video clip of this, I was always astounded at this obviously Catholic man. And I'll tell you, Kennedy's face was a map of Ireland. But this well-known Catholic politician running from Catholic protesters because he would not accept the teachings of the church. And by the way, most political Catholics do not. I mean, Tom Harkin always talked about he was a Catholic. I don't know if he ever, but he certainly...
I need a limo.
You need a limo?
Yeah. I think that would be nice if I had one. Take me around town.
That's what you took out of everything I just said.
Yep.
That you need a limo.
Yep.
Well, you've had enough cars, brand new, big, spectacular ones. What were you telling me one time you went down to a car dealership in Miami where they had a baby grand piano and some guy
I drove
playing
by.
it?
Yeah, I was a
Cadillac
Cadillac dealership.
No. And let me finish the story.
Cadillac
I walked in there and I had $10,000 in my pocket. Whatever happened with that? Now you're trying to play humble and it just never works. Humility does not work on you.
I walked into a local Cadillac dealership one time with my son in a T-shirt and a pair of shorts without socks on and my shoes.
That's a kid, man.
I wanted to look at a Cadillac, and the guy told me that I was better suited for an Oldsmobile. Yeah.
I used to get similar things. You know, I'd be out on a live broadcast or making a live appearance somewhere. I was the MC or whatever. And a couple of pretty girls would walk up to me and say, "Boy, you really don't look as good as you sound." I had my pat answer by that time. Well, neither do you.
Taught them a lesson.
Yeah, I taught them a lesson.
Yeah, I did find something of a public service announcement.
Public service. Yeah, that's right. We have to talk.
Kids to Park Day this weekend.
Kids what?
Kids to Park Day.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, it'll be going on this weekend. I don't have any information, but I'm sure if you get on the Parks and Rec website, they'll have something. You have an announcement, too?
I do have an announcement, and on Saturday, July 11th, the city of Fort Dodge experienced a severe thunderstorm that produced golf ball-sized hail. As a result, there are numerous contractors in town actively seeking business from citizens. Now, we've had hailstorms over the many years. There's always a bunch of fly-by-night contractors. Due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, the city is not issuing any peddler's license. If you are approached unsolicited at your residence, please contact police non-emergency number at 515-573-2323 to report the peddler. That's kind of a dismissive name, the peddler.
Kind of like the 20s,
yeah,
like gypsies.
Yeah, really. Well, some of them are. You know, I remember a few years ago we had a hailstorm, and this long-haired guy and his long-haired wife, neither appearing to have taken a bath in a week or two at least, and their arms were coated with tattoos, wheeled up, and they had it must have been a spray can at the, such and such roofers in the cell phone number. But anyway, let me continue with the statement here. Verify with the city of Fort Dodge that the contractor is registered as required by law. Any contractor performing work on your home should have a license and permit bond on file with the city. Yeah, that's always a good thing to check on. Contractors are expected to be able to provide proof of registration when asked. If you have a question, contact Karen Lawler at klawler, that's Lawler, at fortdodgeiowa.org. Consider using a local contractor as opposed to a storm chaser, but never sign a blank contract or anything like that. I hope people know that. This is a rather lengthy statement, and we'll be talking a lot about it as we go forward.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it's
I told you, we got that call yesterday at the house. Somebody wanted to set up an appointment to look at our roof, and we didn't contact them. They just blind called us. So they're out there. They're looking for you.
Sure they are. Yeah. Well, they can find me. I've dropped all decorum in my last few years. I just openly F-bomb them and, all those things,
You're just not a very nice person.
I'm a sweetheart of a guy.
Get off my lawn.
Just get off my, that's right. Get off my lawn and get off my damn phone. Don't call me and tell me your name is Alan when you have a real accent from Asia or something, and you're telling me about Viagra. Cut rate Viagra.
It's something you need. Yeah.
For what?
I don't know. I have to get the book out again.
No, I remember. I just, I don't have a partner. That's usually something you do with somebody else.
I can't imagine with your personality that you couldn't find somebody out there. But anyway, we did have the meeting Monday
What was
night.
that, a snide little remark there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things happened. It was... We did have some discussion. Roxanne Kuhlman was there asking about pickleball, which is
Roxanne. I heard she golfs.
She golfs very well. She's a past city champion, I think, like half dozen times or more.
Oh yeah,
very consistent. Yeah, so they're restriping. Lori said on the phone, we have Zoom meetings. We don't really know who's there because we can't see who's on Zoom. David can, but we can't. But they're painting the Butler courts, the Butler tennis courts for pickleball. So if you're a pickleball enthusiast, the Butler courts will be done in August. There are pickleball courts down at the Hydroelectric Park area that were redone a few years ago. They're in very bad shape. They need to be redone, dug up, and re-asphalted, or something needs to be done down there. They're not conducive to playing the game. They've got cracks in the ground, which isn't very good for older people that may twist their ankles. So
sure.
Yeah. So pickleball was brought up. We had one comment from a gentleman with a water bill, but other than that, nothing really. Nobody really wanted to talk to us. Even Richard was there and didn't want to ask any questions, which is unusual.
Richard's asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions. So anyway, We did talk about the DART bus. I had a couple questions about that because they were shut down for a period of time. I didn't really understand why we're paying them for doing something that they didn't do, but they're going to get some clarification on that. It's tax-driven, tax-supported, and we may have a contract with them that we're going to pay them no matter what. But I was a little concerned because they had been shut down for 5 weeks, and I thought if we're going to spend $20,000 on them, maybe we ought to get $20,000 worth of business out of them. But David was going to look into that for me.
He was going to look into it.
He was going to look into it.
All right.
Yeah. So anything else was pretty straightforward. We did have, we're going to acquire a couple pieces of property. Avila Bank had a property on First Avenue South, the 200 block, that they had taken back, and they donated that to the city. That property is next to, I believe there's a burnt-out house down there, too. It's down by where Jane Burleson used to live years ago. And I think the city's...
Is Janie still living?
As far as I know, she's, I think, down in Arizona. Maybe
Yeah, she's
with
in
family.
Arizona.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about her recently.
I like she didn't like me much once I got on the radio, but I knew her. I knew her a long time, and she was always she was a great labor leader in our town. Yeah. Labor leader.
Well-respected lady in our
Yes,
town.
she was.
Yep. So we got another house on First South. We acquired another one up in your neighborhood on 3rd Avenue North, the 700 block. That will be knocked down when the money is available. And so we're continue to clean up that Corpus Christi
I live in the
area.
900 block.
I know it, but it's your neighborhood, a block or two away. Close enough.
I've got a couple of suggestions.
Yeah, I bet you do. You will probably write them down and get them to me later.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, and we did pass the resolution to establish a task force for looking at the possession of marijuana for personal use. It's a little bit controversial. We're not looking for changing anything other than having a little bit
What's
of
controversial about it?
Well, apparently there's a lot of controversy if you follow any of the comments on the Facebook pages.
On the City of Fort Dodge Facebook page?
His Messenger has a little comment area, and there's some
on their Facebook page?
Questions and concerns. And it is we do have a state law, but we have discretionary enforcement capabilities.
That's
and again,
right.
This task force will be looking at
Are these people
options.
in opposition think we're going to have too much fun because we can't have that?
Yep.
I mean, there's people organizing
Fun
in Polk
haters.
County. Fun haters, right?
Fun haters,
You know,
yeah.
I got Keith Dinkla coming in a little bit later on.
Ask him how much that drone costs for emergency medical or emergency management. They bought a drone. I heard that drone it started out relatively affordable, but I heard it's over $100,000 that he paid for that drone now.
Well, that is relatively affordable when you're talking county and state, right?
Yeah, but you ought to check because every time I ask,
I ought to check.
Yeah,
you
ask him.
can't go ask him.
No, because the price keeps going up all the time. But yeah. So anyway, we have the task force.
Troublemaker.
A couple of changes. The people that are going to be on that, we're going to have a couple of them appointed by the council, and police chief will have somebody. Mark Crimmins, the city attorney, will appoint somebody. So there's a group of 6 people. We're hoping to get a report back by October to kind of guide us in future decisions and discussions. And again, we don't want to impair the ability of the police officers to do their job. We're just simply looking for some guidance because, simple possession of marijuana can destroy, a career.
Person, yeah. Well, I've said that many times. I said it yesterday, David Furick. Let me say it again. White middle-aged women can embezzle as much money as they want, and when they get caught, they'll cry all over the courtroom, and the judge will give them probation or send them home to live with mom or whatever. Black kid has a couple of rocks in his pocket up by the movie theater. He's going to jail for 10 years. Yeah. So I hope that we can allow recreational marijuana use in town without admitting that we're doing it, of course. Yeah. And I could get special dispensation to, when you're on, to toke up in here, and you and I could get lit. And I think you'd be hilarious, Stone. I really do. I think you'd start chuckling, and everything would be funny to you, and you'd break out the Fritos and all those sort of things.
My big concern, of course, is the CBD oil. I don't think that it should be classified in the same category as possession of marijuana.
No.
But according to the Webster County attorney, possession of CBD oil can be simple possession of marijuana. So you get somebody that's using it on their feet for their, an injury from an athletic, performance or anything. They get caught with that. They could theoretically, I don't think it would happen, but they could theoretically be charged with simple possession. The other thing that came up.
You never know. It goes county to county.
Yep, you never know. We did have the site plan came through for the mall redevelopment. I don't think what they calling that, Corridor Plaza, I think is the new term for it.
Yeah, I think so.
And we got a chance to see some of the streets. I was very happy to see that they're putting sidewalks adjacent to the streets through the property. They're going to be 5-foot wide sidewalks on the east side and also on the roads that are going to be created north and south and east and west through the mall property. They've also been working with the adjacent property owners off to the west side to make sure that the cross easements are in place and that they'll be honored, kind of traditionally honored, and they're not going to impair any access to the mall property to that west side. And I think once we get everything kind of sorted out, they have to jump through some more hoops with planning and zoning. I don't think we reclassified this as away from shopping center to planned development, which allows for different setbacks, and also it gives them an opportunity to put in a little bit taller building in there. They're talking about potentially putting a hotel complex in there that could go up to 6 floors.
Really?
Yeah. With a shopping center, you can't go that high, apparently. So this gives them a little bit more latitude. But I think the big thing was the setbacks on some of the property. I know
that's an unusual rule. You can't have a building that tall in a shopping center.
Every time we do something, it seems like we have to change something in order to do it because of the way that the rules and laws were written, the ordinances.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, everything changes over a period of time. So
those ordinances were written to protect existing businesses, I suppose.
And we're still, obviously we'll see more and more things coming through on this. They've, we've reviewed the plat and we've reviewed the zoning, and now we go into the final plan, and then once the final plan's in place, then I think you're probably going to see some future demolition and some road construction out there, which will be exciting.
Dr. Terry Menke has been our guest. Thank you, Terry.
No problem.
It's 3 o'clock. Greg Hoare, the Pork Producers, is coming up. This is KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Thank you for listening.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Defending Dr. Fauci, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro wrote an op-ed published in USA Today that was highly critical of Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the nation's leading experts on coronavirus and other infectious diseases. Before departing the White House today for Atlanta, the president spoke about Navarro's article.
We're all in the same team, including Dr. Fauci. I have a very good relationship with Dr. Fauci, and we're all in the same team. We want to get rid of this mess that China sent us.
Dr. Fauci today says the effort to discredit him is not a prudent thing to do and reflects negatively on the White House. The White House says Navarro's criticism is his opinion alone, and the president values the expertise of medical experts advising his administration. President Trump today announcing he's removing environmental restrictions that he claims slows construction projects in the country. The president making the announcement in Atlanta. Critics say the president's move to eliminate decades-old environmental laws will only hurt Americans. A new poll says presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is leading President Trump in a key state.
A new Monmouth University poll shows Biden with a 13-point advantage over the president among registered Pennsylvania voters. While the poll shows a clear Biden lead, voters indicate that Election Day could bring a different result if so-called secret Trump voters are out there. The president and Biden enjoy big leads in their respective parties, but Pennsylvania independents favor Biden 54 to 33%.
Fox's Gernal Scott. George Floyd's family filing a lawsuit today against the city of Minneapolis and the 4 police officers charged in his death. The lawsuit claims the officers violated Floyd's rights when restraining him, and that the city allowed a culture of excessive force, racism, and impunity to flourish in its police force. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, if you're looking to cut costs and free up some cash on a monthly basis, start today with Pure Talk USA. Now, the average family of 4 is saving over $800 a year on cell phone service by switching to Pure Talk USA. Now, every plan includes unlimited talk and text. And by the way, it just starts at $20, so switch to Pure Talk today. Just dial pound 250 keyword Pure Radio. Pure Talk USA, simply smarter wireless. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text from Pure Talk USA.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
The road
is everything you want it to be. Everything. As long as what you want is a road to ride your motorcycle on.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents basic policies starting at $75 a year. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy is not available in all states.
U.S. deaths from coronavirus have surpassed 136,000, and tensions are rising in some areas over mask mandates.
In Michigan, one man is dead after refusing to wear a mask in a store. Police shot the suspect after they say he stabbed a store worker for confronting him about not covering his face. Cases continue to spike around the country. New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut adding 4 more states to their quarantine list. Travelers from Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and New Mexico to the tri-state area must self-isolate for 14 days. Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney barring events in his city until at least February of 2021, 7 months from now.
Fox's Alex Hogan. More than 3.4 million cases of coronavirus have now been confirmed across the country. Pennsylvania has enacted police reform legislation.
2 police reform bills have been signed by Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf. One that requires police officers to disclose their employment history, and the other requiring officers to have regular mental health evaluations and training. PennLive.com reports that House Bill 1910 also requires enhanced training for officers on how to treat people of diverse racial, ethnic, and economic backgrounds, along with annual training on use of force. Other police reform bills are headed to the Pennsylvania State House, including one requiring all police departments to report any use of force incidents to the state police, who would then be required to give use of force reports to the Attorney General. In New York, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Police in Cincinnati are asking the public for help in identifying the man who poured red paint on the block-long Black Lives Matter mural in front of City Hall. Police have released surveillance video from early Sunday morning showing a man with his face covered at the scene. That mural was officially dedicated in mid-June amid national protest against racial injustice following the police killing of George Floyd. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge, in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. TK Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's 2 good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in a second round at Cleghorn. A 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourfortdodge.com. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with highs around 78. Northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy tonight, lows dip down to about 56. High of 84 tomorrow, sunny skies. Upper 80s Friday with a chance for scattered thunderstorms, mid 90s Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 70.
Makeup feels most comfortable when it's lightweight. Stop in and ask about updating your foundation with an airy sun protecting formula. Starting July 1st at participating Merle Norman Cosmetic Studios, you'll receive a free trial size fine line minimizer with any foundation purchase. This pro retinol serum helps reduce fine lines and restore more youthful looking skin. Limit 1 per customer. Available now at Merle Norman, located inside Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor, 1108 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
I'm Phil Gunderson. Gunderson's has a tradition of providing services unmatched in our community. Funeral, cremation, and pre-planning services with certified celebrants on staff, aftercare, video, and customized printed goods that are the standard. We offer live streaming options and community support with remembrance and educational programs. When it's time to look for a funeral home, look to Gunderson's.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right. That's what we're doing here all the time at KVFD Radio. I'm Michael Devine, and we are making radio great again. I have a partner in that effort here today, Greg Hora. And this portion of the program is brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. And, of course, if you haven't heard that Greg is heavily involved in the pork business, I don't know where you've been.
Yeah, well, we do what we're supposed to do. And then,
there you
as
go.
I've always said, well, we help out in other events that we can. And I would lead off by saying 1 week ago we talked about the county 4-H fair being shut down last Monday abruptly, for the kids bringing in their projects to the fair, which is just not livestock. It's a lot of other projects that they do throughout the year and all their club activities and their project activities, which includes not just kids, but it's a lot of adults.
Yeah.
a lot of leaders and project leaders that do that. But we had County Pig Show last Thursday night, which was hosted by the Webster County Ag Association. So thanks to the good people out at the fairgrounds that are part of the board and the Ag Association, they thought it was still worthy enough for the kids and their families to bring in livestock, which that did happen with sheep and cattle and pigs, that those kids were able to still bring in their projects. And I know there were some other types of shows that were going on out there, but it was, not really open to the public, and it was a limited event. We only grilled pork burgers during the 4-H, the open pig show. That's all we did this year. Smallest amount of pork burgers we've ever done at the county fair, and my 25 or so years of memory of being active out there.
I used to see you, well, especially you, but other pork producers all over the place with your pork burgers set up.
Yeah.
And I always, of course, made my way over there because I love those pork burgers.
Yeah.
Any chance you can set up out in our parking lot again? You did that a couple of times.
We could social distance out there, couldn't we?
Oh, yeah, in the parking lot.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Well, what's interesting is your listeners have heard me over the years, if not to new listeners that are always jumping on board with the Divine Intervention show. I'm positive of that.
Of course.
Is a number of the annual pork producer grillings that we do with community-based activities this summer have all been canceled.
Yeah.
We are still participating with the Back to School Bash, which is going to be in August. That organization and all of those volunteers that help put backpacks together for kids, the school supplies, that list that each grade comes out with, that kids need to have a backpack full of these, 25 or 30 items for the school year.
Are you working with Menke on this, or the Sertoma Club?
Well,
Menke had the backpack thing going on.
The Backpack Buddies is what that is.
Which is, I give Menke a lot of business. I really do give him a lot of grief. But he's done a lot of good things for our community. He really has.
Well, especially in Dr. Menke there and so many others that participate in things in the community, like the Back to School Bash that I'm making reference to, is for those in our society that need financial assistance, those that need maybe some stability and help with getting kids, in this case, prepared and ready for school. It's just not easy for everybody to go to the store and buy all these things for various reasons and put them together. So that's why all the volunteers that are involved in that really should be given high praise and accolades. And yes, a lot of them are the educators of our community that know that they want every child to be ready to learn on first day and not be sitting there at a desk and have no supplies.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So there's a lot of good people, and perhaps you could have some of those folks. Diana George, I would make reference to. Kim Botholt is another one here in town that are very involved in those efforts, and they really are struggling this year because of this COVID-19. So as I mentioned, that the small part that we as county pork producers play in that is we donate the pork burgers, we grill them up, we help serve, and that's just a small contribution that we like to help with the community. Is there a lot of promotions there? No, but it has in the past several years that we've participated, given us the opportunity to interface with some people that maybe never had a pork burger before.
Sure.
And this year, I will say, Diana George has communicated with me that they still are going to have the event in August through the Upper Des Moines, Iowa activities organization. And if the sponsoring organizations are down this year, I know she made reference to that, but they still know that there's a need there. And because of COVID-19, it's not going to be an event like it has in past years where there's open public area where people can walk up and talk to the user groups and the facilitators of numerous groups in town. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a drive-through. So the backpacks you have to pre-register for. You have to be on the list so that they know what to put together. Names will be taken. And hopefully there'll be 200, 300 people that will participate in that, which, once again, our small part is just grilling pork burgers and putting them in the meal bags that people will pick up when they drive by.
But those are important. You mentioned having some people on the air. Those are exactly the sort of people we ought to have on the air.
Yes.
I mean, I think I have a nice lineup of guests. I do.
Yes.
Some of them talk about state issues or even federal or national issues.
Yep.
And that's all fine. I try for a mix, but I really need to get people like you're talking about, sports people, educators, business people who are in our town. I mean, people involved in different sorts of groups. I just need those people on the show.
Yes.
They need to be heard, and they need to be recognized.
Well, and some of the other groups that you're making reference to that we've grilled for in the past is the American Cancer Society Relay for Life.
There you go.
A lot of good volunteers in there, and their event was canceled back in June. The National Night Out with Roger Porter. He's been on your air a lot with the police and the police department of Fort Dodge and the sheriff's department. The firemen, they've all participated in that, and that event is not being held. And then just recently, in the last few days, right across the street here, the Community Health Center, they have canceled their open to the public open house that they've had in the past that we've donated pork burgers and grilled for many years.
I know.
So
you have.
that's canceled again, and those are some user groups that it's important to get people out for those community-based events. But I'm sure Diana and the rest of her volunteer folks are be willing to have any more participation in the next month before their event actually occurs at Phillips Middle School.
You have my cell phone number. Give it to them, or you can give me their numbers. I'll be happy to contact them. By the way, the community health people right across the street here to the south do a lot of really great things for a lot of people who need the help. Believe me, I see Ann Fazer over there as a what do they call it, primary now? But
yes.
A lot of the problems I have require specialists, I guess.
We tend to get that way, don't we, Mike?
That's the truth. So I would just like to acknowledge that there are some, like the Community Health Center, like a lot of the organizations that you mentioned. Boy, they're the glue that holds the town together. And I have the cynicism covered, of course, over here at the radio station. You don't need more cynicism. Just come here. I've got all you can handle.
Well, in this time of the year, there's still some county fairs going on around Iowa. Some of them I've scaled back, obviously, as we spoke about last week, and as I opened this segment with talking about the Webster County Fair. And as we know that at the state fair levels, there's a number of states around us that are not holding the traditional state fair. I believe Illinois is. I know the Illinois pork producers are doing some promotions over there that's a little different than they have in the past, but they're still going to be having some activity of the Illinois State Fair. And even the Iowa State Fair, even though it's not going to be a bona fide Iowa State Fair this year, there will be some open shows. And the Governor's Steer Show, for example, that's not being held in Des Moines, but Iowa State University is hosting that at the Hanson Animal Learning Center. On the south side of Ames campus. So we're still going to hear about the Governor's Charity Steer Show.
And you and the pork producers have always sponsored me for at least one day down at the state fair. I really, really enjoyed it and met so many interesting people from agriculture and some bright young people from Iowa State University.
Yes.
Who are involved in agriculture, and they talk way over my head, and I remind them of it sometimes, and they have the ability to simplify what they're saying, so somebody like me can understand what they're saying. But I will certainly miss being down there with the pork producers. I'll miss the whole fair like everybody.
Yeah,
I always loved it.
Well, through the Iowa Soybean Association and the Food and Family Policy Project there, that Aaron Putsey, Northern Kossuth County boy, I should say young man. A lot of those people that have been involved in that over the past years, and I know you've participated with the Iowa Soybean Association and Aaron at the Farm Progress Show also.
Absolutely.
And you've always enjoyed that diversity and bringing that message of what's going on in agriculture to your non-farm listening audience. So,
I plan to go to the Farm Progress Show this year back in Boone. They do it every other year, but they canceled that too.
Yeah, it is.
That's the craziest year I've ever
seen. And you know
what?
What's interesting as things develop, and I'm, as maybe your listeners have heard in the past, I'm involved in a number of other farm organizations and involved in leadership and some of those things statewide. But, more and more of our meetings, and we just had another one last night. We had a Zoom meeting for Iowa Farm Business Association, and instead of having face-to-face meetings in August this year because of this ongoing COVID issue and the precautions that we all are supposed to take, we're going to be having more of those meetings with Zoom or the webcam video conferencing meetings. which, as you mentioned, Farm Progress Publications are already said they're going to have a virtual Farm Progress show.
Is that right?
Yeah, and
That
I
would be
saw
great.
some outtakes of it on RFD radio, on RFD TV, on the TV the other night, and how they're going to have simulations of what actually happens during the Farm Progress show. It's going to be all simulated on, computer animation.
Sure.
So it's really interesting how companies still know that spending those or investing those dollars for advertising and promotion to their market segments is still important. So they're still going to participate with a virtual Farm Progress show that we'll hear more about in the next month.
That sounds great. Have you heard about the Spencer Fair, the Clay County Fair? Has that been canceled?
I think it has been canceled.
I think it has been canceled, too. I don't remember.
A lot of your listeners pay close attention or participate in that. I have not been up there for a number of years because it's in September, and that's usually a pretty busy time of the year for me. But and unless I really wanted to go see something or meet somebody for something, I don't usually go to those things. But I believe that Clay County Fair, because of all the situations with exposure of people and the entertainment venue, has always been first class up there.
Always.
Yeah, just tremendous. Actually, that's where I saw Garth Brooks.
Did you see Garth Brooks up there?
Back in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, early 90s. Saw Garth Brooks up there just when he was coming into this fame, at the Grandstand.
Wow.
But
I've seen a lot of great country artists up there.
Yeah.
Just a lot. Some of the older ones, Johnny Cash and Conway Twitty and Barbara Mandrell a couple of times, the Statler Brothers. All great entertainers.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I'm not involved in farming, obviously, but I like to go to the Clay County Fair because they have one of the best machinery displays in the world.
Yeah.
And, and I go back there and look at all the progress that's being made in agriculture and talk to some of the salesmen, and they tell me what this thing can do and what it can't do.
Well, and that's what drives Iowa.
Yeah.
The jobs that are related, and we spoke about on this station a number of times. We produce a lot of bountiful crops and livestock here, and we're processing more of that. And of course, anytime you talk about machinery, you got to talk about number one in the world, and that's John Deere.
Yeah.
That just doesn't have numerous manufacturing facilities in numerous communities of Iowa, but around the world. And so that continues to be a driver of what not just Iowa agriculture is, but around the world.
Yeah, it's quite a thing. Do we still have a Deere manufacturing plant in Ankeny?
Yes, there is. Matter of fact, I toured that about 3 years ago with Farm Group that I'm involved with. And you talk about some of the newest of robotics and the innovations where machinery literally moves across the floor based on the computer chips that are in the floor. It's not a rail like you would traditionally think of, machinery moving on a skid, which is on a rail. That doesn't happen anymore. It's all robotics that is movement based on the computer chips in the floor. And I'm talking about big, heavy pieces of equipment that co-ops use in the sprayer applications and the crop protection products that we use. And, we're talking thousands and tens of thousands of pounds of weight that's empty weight. And, so the Deere plant there on the north side of Ankeny, or kind of the northwest side of Ankeny, also makes one of the most expensive pieces of equipment in the country, and that's the cotton picker, for the down south, picking cotton.
Have you ever seen that done before?
No. Personally, I have not.
I lived in the South 3 years, and I made a point to go out and watch the farmers. We had farm radio out there. It was a different type of farming, but I made sure I got to go out on the cotton farms a couple times, and that's quite a process.
Yeah. Well, right down there in Ankeny, it's $800,000 for a cotton picking combine.
$800,000. Well, how about a big old corn picker?
Well, that's what's, you start getting the bailiwick of me and Steve Peterson. We start talking about those things. Now, you say corn picker.
Well, that's an old term.
Yes, it is. And I've called in before, and you have asked me, what am I doing? I said, I'm picking corn. Well, that's just the term that I'm not that old. But
they haven't had corn pickers in a long time.
Oh, yeah. Some of those shows, they bring those old timers out, up at Albert City. They still do that a lot. And we've seen those type of things. But, we have corn heads now. Traditionally, is 8 or 12 row corn heads. It's pretty common. An 8-row corn head will, go for $95,000 to $100,000, and a 12-row we're talking $125,000 to $150,000.
Actually, I thought they were a little more.
Yeah, just for the corn head.
Yeah,
that's just
for the corn
head.
Okay.
Yeah, then you.
So if you want the combine with it,
well, that's an extra $400,000 or $500,000. And you got to have that before you put the corn head on.
You got to pick a lot of corn to make that big.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for me to see 60-foot cultivators in the field.
60-foot. 60-foot cultivators is
pretty standard.
I would say that, in the farm country, I think most people would agree to this, that, we have kind of, I always looked at your top third, middle third, and bottom third. That's kind of how I classify things. I do that in my hog barns on things that we do when we're evaluating pigs. But you've had about a third of the farmers that'll buy the biggest and newest equipment they can get. And then you got about the middle third, kind of like me, that we don't go out and buy the biggest and the newest, but we'll get that, what you would call that second hand, or it's, 3 to 7 years old, and you buy that for your size of farm operation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have little smaller farm operations that are going to have the 12-row corn planters and your 35-foot field cultivators and your 250 horsepower tractors. And, it all works in agriculture because as machinery dealers, they've got to have those people are going to buy the newest and the biggest and the best. And then we rotate it down through the system, we as farmers, on different size farm operations, and depending on the age of our farm and how many more years we're going to continue to farm, or if we're farming in partnership with another farmer. So that's kind of what traditionally happens in farm country. And, it's the same way we've talked about with livestock. A lot of different ways that we raise livestock. And believe me now, today I just pulled in. It was 73 degrees outside, Mike.
Yeah.
Almost feels cool in here today.
It does.
In your studio.
I turned off my fan.
Yeah. Yeah. And yesterday I was in the hog barns at this time. It was 86 degrees. We were doing a couple specialized projects. One to do them in the morning, but we had some corn that we were moving in the morning when it was a little cooler. And we're doing these specialized projects in the hog barns, not doing too much with pigs. But it was, 86 degrees at 3:30 in the afternoon, and of course it was 90 degrees outside.
Well, you got to expect that.
Yeah, and so
July.
Absolutely, and so those are just things that go on in farm operations. But we were inside, and as your listeners have heard me say, that's why we raise pigs inside. We have stir fans moving air. We have water misters turning on every 20 minutes for a 2-minute period, misting cool water across pigs and comfort. And so, innovations come along, and I know that in other parts of the world right now, they're continuing to develop their agriculture. A lot of things we've talked about in this show before, be it in Ukraine and Russia, in that part of the world, or down in South America, or even in China. We spoke a lot about that over the years. But our American manufacturing and a lot of European manufacturing companies are placed all over the world, and growing food and growing protein for those hungry consumers.
Outstanding. Greg Hoare is with us. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers, and we'll be back.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 3:31.
It's Virtual Country Thunder. Alpha Media and the Western Edge present Virtual Country Thunder. And your chance to sing on the Country Thunder stage Labor Day weekend in Forest City. To enter, submit a 30-second video of you singing your favorite country song a cappella. On August 6th, we'll announce our 10 finalists who will compete for a chance to be in the spotlight on the Country Thunder stage. Submit your entry and get complete contest rules now at yourfortdodge.com. It's Virtual Country Thunder and your chance to win from this Alpha Media station.
Big news! David Horowitz's new book, Blitz, just hit the New York Times bestseller list. Blitz reveals the real agenda of Antifa and the secret billionaires out to stop President Trump. Mike Huckabee says if everyone read Blitz, Trump would win. You've seen David Horowitz on Newsmax TV. He predicts more attacks on Trump this summer. Get David Horowitz's new bestseller, Blitz, at bookstores. Or get the free offer and save $28. Call 800-NEWSMAX or go to blitz411.com. That's blitz411.com.
No matter how you top it, you can't top Pizza Hut's best delivery deal. Large 3-topping pizzas for just $9.99. No one out-pizzas the Hut. Extra charge for some crusts. Deal availability in delivery areas. Charges and minimums apply. Delivery charge not a tip.
If every day feels like the last, put some flavor in it. Meet Church's new $5 Campfire Smokehouse Chicken. Crackling campfire flavor that's bold to the bone. Plus mashed potatoes and a biscuit. Church's, bringing that down-home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com, use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge, in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. TK Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's 2 good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in the second round at Cleghorn, a 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with highs around 78. Northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy tonight, lows dip down to about 56. High of 84 tomorrow, sunny skies. Upper 80s Friday with a chance for scattered thunderstorms, mid 90s Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 69.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a quarter penny at $3.26 1/4. December up a quarter cent at $3.34. March unchanged at $3.44 1/2. May unchanged at $3.51 3/4. August soybeans up 8 1/4 at $8.86 1/4. September beans up 6 1/2 at $8.80 3/4. November up 5 1/4 at $8.82 3/4. January up 4 cents at $8.87 1/4. September wheat closed up 24 cents at $5.50 3/4. Soybean meal up 60 cents a ton at $2.85.80. August live cattle up $2.50 at $101.30. October up $1.45 at $104.55. August feeders up $2.70 at $139.42. September up $2.07 at $139.55. July lean hogs up 52 cents at $47.32, and August up 22 at $50.15. I am Dwayne Murley.
Buying habits and trends have changed drastically during the coronavirus pandemic, and an ag economist doesn't expect them to go away anytime soon. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Purdue University's Jason Lusk says consumers will likely see retail food prices decline.
They've already started to come down some from that spike. I think they will continue to do so, mainly because we've seen meat prices already start to fall. But still, there's higher demand at grocery stores at the moment. That will remain true until restaurants and other food away from home get back up and going. So I don't have a firm prediction about retail prices, although I don't expect the really dramatic spikes that we saw to continue.
Prices went up as store shelves were cleaned out during the beginning months of COVID-19, but those prices are starting to go down. Lusk says he anticipates some shopping and food trends among consumers will continue.
We've already been talking about trends of e-grocery, and I think that appears to be continuing. I think we're going to see more food, even food that's eaten at home, bypassing the store.
Other trends that don't appear to be going away include interest in local food as well as plant-based protein options.
Interest in local and direct-to-consumer delivery. I think that interest is there. Plant-based meat and the alternatives to meat, that hasn't gone away. In fact, if you look at the data in terms of just percentage increases, there was a big percentage increase, at least in grocery stores, of some of these plant-based alternatives.
I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will be ready to award $7,000 a week for life. That's $7,000 a week, week after week, for life. Don't miss your last chance to win. Go to PCH.com and enter before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/26. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like that much-needed 125-inch flat-screen TV.
It's hurting my eyes a lot.
For your 100-square-foot bedroom.
My neck isn't so much stiff as it's completely stuck.
With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Uh-oh, I'm seeing color splotches.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will be ready to award $7,000 a week for life. That's $7,000 a week, week after week, for life. Don't miss your last chance to win. Go to PCH.com and enter before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/26. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 342. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers.
Iowa pig farmers care a lot and do a lot when it comes to protecting our state's environment. We are always evaluating our methods and practices, taking advantage of new learning, advanced technology, and proven results to understand what works, what doesn't, and what can be better. That's why you find pork producers from one border of the state to the other using solar and wind energy or installing field buffers and bioreactors. To learn more, go to iowapork.org.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. Again, this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers, and with us now is a past president of the Webster County Pork Producers, past president of the state of Iowa Pork Producers, Greg Hora. Greg, I need to ask you something before we forget, because when you and I get talking, it's just who knows where we're going, and that's part of the fun of it, as far as I'm concerned. But Steve Peterson, and you know Steve well.
Yes.
Steve and I were talking on air yesterday, and he was talking about exports of grain to China and how the price of grain really hasn't changed despite a huge new order of grain from China.
Yes.
And we talked just briefly. I said, I'm going to have to ask Greg tomorrow about pork exports and if the increased amount of pork exports that China has ordered, it has affected the price of pork, because I don't understand how you can have a big increase in exports like that and not have the price move.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the economics 101, right? And
I must be missing it then, Greg. I thought I took that
but
class,
it's just not about the USA. And matter of fact, I just printed off, received an email last night, like we always do as agriculture, as farmers and agriculture leaders. We get all of our information through emails. All the farm organizations send it out. I have one from National Pork Producer Council in front of me. I get it 3 times a week to help answer that question. And you and I had not talked about this, but with the African swine fever that is occurring in China in the pig herd,
right?
They've lost a lot of their protein sources. And as your listeners have heard me talk about over the years, China has 5 times the population that we do in the United States.
Certainly.
Okay, close to 1.4 billion people. And they also have 5 times the pig population that we do of the United States. Now, when you put that into terms of what does that mean for food, well, because of African swine fever, the main protein that the Chinese people consume is pork over beef and pork over poultry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so pork is the most consumed. They actually, on a per capita basis, eat more pork than what we do in the United States.
Well, Asians love pork.
Absolutely.
I
Variety
was
of cuts.
in Asia a couple of years, and if they got pork in there. And they have a number of different dishes, but they love pork.
So what I just see in front of me, that because of the pork supplies that have dropped in China, because of their domestic production, domestic processing, their imports from around the world, not just the U.S., but around the world, providers or suppliers are up 140% because they don't have enough of their own protein there. And so what that's telling us is that they're buying pork because that's their mainstay, but their beef products are also up 42%. Okay? And beef's a higher price per pound than what pork is. Mm-hmm. So they're going to want to feed their people something that's a high protein. And they'll, as I've stated before to American consumers, if we don't buy it at the prices that we have for us here as consumers in the U.S., somebody around the world will pay that price for it. Now, right now, just to tell your listeners, we have tremendously depressed pork prices in the United States to the farmer. Some of the lowest prices we've had in almost 15 years.
Yeah.
It's really rugged. Now, I'm not going to get on the soapbox about that, but to answer your question about if we have so much supply here and we have a demand over there, why is our prices low?
Yeah.
Well, it's because we continue to grow more. In this case, I'm talking about pigs. We have more pigs that we're harvesting and processing today than we did 1 year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 7 years ago. So we have more pig volume and we have more processed pork available.
Sure.
Now, to your question about the corn. So as farmers, we all know that we got a tremendous crop coming on here. And since you and I last talked, those farmers out south and east of Fort Dodge, southeast of Fort Dodge, I should say, we took a bad windstorm. I have hundreds of acres, and there's tens of thousands of acres between here and I-35 that are blown down corn. Corn that was 9 feet tall on July 10th was blown over 50, 60 inches over to the next row or 2 rows, or in some cases it's 4 feet tall right now because it's blown over and leaning. Some of that will come back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really rugged, and the salespeople, the agronomy people, the farmers, we're all concerned about it because this is a critical time of corn pollination and ear development. But needless to say, there's always parts of the corn growing belt that have problems. There's hailstorms, and I had some hail on a couple farms, and a lot of farmers had it worse than I did. And we hear about those stories around the counties and around the state. And it's 2 miles away, corn is standing fine, and they didn't get hail or they didn't get wind, just the way it goes. But we have, China did last week announce that the largest purchase of corn from the United States ever. And it had no effect on the price of corn to the Chicago Board of Trade.
That makes no sense to me at all.
But we have large supplies. We've talked about the ethanol market.
Yeah.
When a lot of the ethanol plants were in a slowdown or they shut down. And some of those plants are still shut down or are in a slowdown period because the margins of producing ethanol are not positive or at best break even. Mm-hmm. So they're not using as much corn, which we normally would use about 5 billion bushels a year, which is about 1/3 of all the corn we produce. This year, we're going to produce in the United States about 14 billion bushels, and it may go lower if we continue to have some areas in your listening area, especially to the west of Fort Dodge, Calhoun, Greene counties. It's extremely dry over there, and we feel for those farmers that have not got these beneficial rains. I think Dwayne Murley and your sister station mentioned June 23rd. Some of those guys around Rockwell City, Calhoun County area, June 23rd was the last measurable rain they had.
June 23rd?
Yeah, June 23rd. There was about 3 inches of rain that occurred across the area, 2 to 3 inches during that June 21st, 22nd, 23rd time frame. And then some of these more recent rains that we've gotten, it's spotty. It's hit and miss. But that always occurs. But to answer your question, the larger picture is there's other sources of corn around the world, and that's why we talk about the WASDE report, which is the World Agricultural Statistics and Data Information about exports and what is available for corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, all those major commodities that are food-producing items. So, yeah, it's a big picture that goes on, and Iowa and the United States are not the only suppliers in the world. There's a lot of supply of commodities go to China or other Asian countries from South America and from Mexico.
I have a question, and I will trust you to give me an objective answer because I know you're going to tell me right away that Iowa corn is better than anybody else's corn. But is Iowa grain better than that grain coming from South America? I mean, could we go to a client or a customer and say, you should buy our corn at a higher rate because it's better than the product coming out of South America or wherever?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you've had, over the years, people from the Iowa Soybean Association in this studio or calling in on the air. And so to the non-farm public out there, what we look at, 2 main things of soybeans, and that's protein and oil. Mm-hmm. And to answer your question specifically about South America, United States farmers have always prided themselves on having a higher quality soybean of protein and oil, those components or those ingredients that we express out of that soybean seed for be it livestock feed or commercial purposes, human food consumption purposes. We used to make soybean candles and soybean crayons and some of those components. They still do utilize some of those. But, yeah, we've taken pride in that, Mike. And we have to give credit to the research and technology of
I
the
was gonna
soybean
say,
breeders.
yeah.
And especially those innovators, those early innovative entrepreneurs that look at how we can better utilize our diversity of products from that whole kernel of corn or that whole kernel of soybean.
You know, God bless his kind soul. Dean Coleman was a regular here. And, of course, he was Mr. Soybeans in this area. And we really lost something when we lost Dean. But he used to tell me little things like, I think it was the Japanese or perhaps the Chinese, and this was a budding industry just a couple of years ago, that they were taking American soybeans and feeding them to their fish, because fish is still a big deal in China.
Yes.
And it's part of
the Asian countries.
Yes, in the Asian countries. They prefer that. And, you know, he would just have a lot of information on a small part of the industry like that.
Well, we call
and
that...
they bought American grain because
Yep.
they found it, or American soybeans because they found it superior to soybeans they could import from
Yep.
other countries.
Well, and that comes back to, we call that the aquaculture. Where
Yeah,
we're
aquaculture.
growing fish, and we're growing in a controlled environment. And it does not mean always inside of buildings. You know, you go down I-35 by Ellsworth, the brand new Love's gas station right there on the north side of I-35 and the Ellsworth exit. There's a big fish farm there, and I know some people that are involved in that, and how that takes time to develop. And you know, you've got to have your market, and then you have specialized feed, and some of the specialized aspects of growing, in that case, fish as a protein source. But yeah, it's fed with a lot of soybean meal and specialized feed ingredients for that aquaculture. And yes, Dean and the Iowa Soybean Association have been all around the world promoting that. I know even in some countries that you wouldn't think would be a huge market opportunity, like the country of Egypt.
Yeah.
You know, whenever we can have a new or an emerging country like that to help pick up the pieces, like, you know, once again, President Trump made the announcement earlier this week about the Phase 2 trade agreement with China is not going to probably happen. Well, that rocked the commodity markets very bad.
Yeah.
Now, we still have the opportunity to sell perhaps more now than we have in the past, but we're not selling as much as what we thought we could, or that the Chinese had committed that they would buy. And that comes back to just what all the ag organizations do together with the U.S. Trade Representative's Office and farmers like Dean Coleman, God rest his soul, for what he did for so many years for those of us that grow the food here in Iowa.
Did it with a warm smile and a warm handshake all the time. You
Absolutely.
know? And he just down home Iowa farmer, and he would just. There's nothing else he would have rather been.
Yeah.
You know, and I miss him.
And we have it. I just saw, I don't do Facebook a whole lot, but I just saw at noon today, as I was eating my lunch, and I'd already read the paper for the day, who sat in this studio before. He ran for Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, Ray Gasser.
Ray, good man.
You know,
I like
from
Ray.
South Central Iowa. And Ray just put on there this morning, he got 1.7 inches of rain. Had a picture out his.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Did you see it? Yeah. And you know, and Ray's comment was, "God is good."
God is good.
You know, because sometimes we don't wish bad on other farms or other areas, and sometimes we get rains, and sometimes we don't. And that's just the hand that we as farmers know that we deal with and try to be optimistic in. And your listeners know I try to remain optimistic in those things. But
well, sure. You know, and again, a lot of credit is due to the Iowa State genetics, plant genetics people. 50 years ago, this would have been a terrible storm. They would have had to have had to go to their insurance companies and hopefully recover some sort of the cost of the crop, thanks to genetics and genetic engineering that some people are afraid of for some reason. We don't have to worry about that as much. I do want to ask you, and you talked about some of the wind damage out at your farm and east of town and that sort of thing. Did we get enough rain in that part of the area to kind of offset the damage to the corn?
That's the good and the bad part. Yes, we had 1.5 inches of rain, which is the good part. Blown down crops, and like I said, all you have to do is go to Colville or Otho, and they basically had no rain. And
really, Otho didn't have any rain.
No, because that was on the line that things were being, areas were getting it and some areas were not. Just as that cut through the county, But, that area of wind actually went clear down to Monmouth, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, my son works for Bayer Crop, which was Monsanto, and they have a research facility down in Monmouth, which I've actually been to 7 or 8 years ago, the ag tour and information. But some of those areas were affected by the wind also, clear across the state of Iowa, cutting down through Tama County, down through Johnson County, some of those Keokuk County areas, southeast Iowa, over into Illinois. So that's what we have to expect. And, maybe this next couple weeks, we got a little cooler weather right now, but it sounds like it's going to get hotter again.
Yeah, which is kind of what the corn likes, isn't it?
You'd think if it has enough moisture.
Yeah. A lot of heat and humidity.
Hey, my sweet corn's about ready to pick, though. So
all right, I'll take a dozen ears.
Yeah, I'll have to bring you some in. I'll be checking it. Hopefully I get yours before the raccoons get it.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, but I appreciate being picked over the raccoons.
Yeah. I got to call the coyotes up just a day or two before that raccoon shows up.
Well, you still got your hand in the cast over there. So So let me know when we can have you out in the parking lot again with pork burgers.
I hear you.
That would be great.
Yes, it would be.
That would be great. Maybe we can invite a few other people along.
Yeah. Well, it's the time of the year that there's a lot of crop development and a lot of concerns, but farmers, we're going to plan for a great fall harvest, and our co-ops in the area and farmers moving grain, that we do what we have to, and we're thankful for the livestock industry and the ethanol industry of using up the grain.
How is Prestige doing over there with the co-avoid thing?
I haven't heard anything, Mike, recently, except for the fact as pork producers and leaders in the organization, we are extremely concerned about the packer capacity and making sure that since we have more pigs available to harvest than we have shackle space, that there's enough workers there. But I think Prestige and most all the Tyson plants that we heard in the news for 6 or 8 weeks, they're up probably 90% or 95% capacity, running a Saturday shift. So that means there's plenty of pigs there, and they continue to find the workers that they need.
That's excellent. I know a few guys that work over there are happy to be there. I mean, they've had underemployment, a situation with underemployment for a while, and over there they're getting plenty of hours, and they're buying their house and doing all the things that we hope to do. Greg Hoare has been our guest. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers, of course, and we appreciate Greg coming in as always. It's 4 o'clock. County Supervisor Keith Dinklaw is next.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Pushing for schools to reopen. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Trump today again calling for the nation's schools to reopen in the fall despite concerns over coronavirus.
The markets are very good. The country's doing well. Jobs are growing fast. We want schools to be open. And they will be open, and they'll be open, I think, relatively on time, hopefully perfectly on time, most places.
The president has threatened to cut funding for school districts that don't bring students back into the classrooms. Critics say there needs to be strict guidelines in place to ensure the safety of students and staff. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt today announcing he's tested positive for coronavirus.
I'll be taking precautions. I'm now isolating away from my family. I'll be working from home until it's safe for me to get back to normal.
The 47-year-old Republican says he started feeling aches before getting the test. Stitt says he's confident he did not contract the illness while attending President Trump's rally in Tulsa last month. U.S. researchers are putting a potential coronavirus vaccine into its final testing phase.
A vaccine developed by the National Institutes of Health and Moderna says that all 45 trial participants developed antibodies during its study. It will now start the final phase of testing with 30,000 volunteers. The president says his White House initiative to produce a vaccine could see major success.
Through Operation Warp Speed, we will deliver a vaccine in record-breaking time. We're ready to distribute the vaccine when we get it. We're all set.
It could still be till the end of the year before that happens.
Fox's Rob Schmidt. The Rose Bowl parade is off for next year. Organizers of the annual event canceling the New Year's Day parade over coronavirus concerns. The parade has been held every year since 1891, except for 3 years during World War II. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, if you're looking to cut costs and free up some cash on a monthly basis, start today with Pure Talk USA. Now, the average family of 4 is saving over $800 a year on cell phone service by switching to Pure Talk USA. Now, every plan includes unlimited talk and text. And by the way, it just starts at $20. So switch to Pure Talk today. Just dial pound 250 keyword Pure Radio. Pure Talk USA, simply smarter wireless. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text from Pure Talk USA.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
Ride confidently in the direction of your dreams. Unless it's a bad dream, then turn around.
Go the other way.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents basic policy starting at $75 a year. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy is not available in all states.
Alabama Republicans making their choice known in yesterday's race for a Senate seat.
Alabama's Republicans rally behind former Auburn University football coach Tommy Tuberville for the U.S. Senate.
Thank you for your trust, your confidence. Your message of change is loud and clear.
President Trump actively supported Tuberville over former senator and his first attorney general, Jeff Sessions, who ran afoul of the president by recusing himself in the Russia investigation. Sessions is now ready to help Tuberville.
We must stand behind him in November.
Tuberville faces Democrat incumbent Doug Jones in November. Eben Brown, Fox News.
The Navy says a fire aboard the USS Bonhomme Richard has moved away from fuel tanks, easing the threat of an explosion or a million-gallon oil spill in the San Diego harbor. Officials say it's too early yet to say whether the ship can be saved. That fire began Sunday as the docked amphibious assault ship was undergoing maintenance. Navy helicopters have been dropping water on the infrastructure and flight deck. An American tech giant wins a multi-billion-dollar tax fight in Europe.
Apple winning a court appeal against an order from the European Union to pay $15 billion in back taxes. The EU had claimed Apple and Ireland had an illegal tax deal, allowing the tech company to pay extremely low rates. Apple has its European headquarters in Ireland, meaning it only has to pay taxes there on the bulk of its revenue from across the EU. But the EU's General Court ruling Apple had not received special treatment. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden have one less challenger to worry about in the November election. Kanye West, who announced a presidential run on the 4th of July, has ended his bid for the White House. A person hired to get West on 2 key state ballots today saying the rapper is out. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. T.K. Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's 2 good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in the second round at Cleghorn, a 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with highs around 78. Northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy tonight, lows dip down to about 56. High of 84 tomorrow, sunny skies. Upper 80s Friday with a chance for scattered thunderstorms, mid 90s Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 69.
Makeup feels most comfortable when it's lightweight. Stop in and ask about updating your foundation with an Airy Sun Protecting Formula. Starting July 1st at participating Merle Norman Cosmetic Studios, you'll receive a free trial size fine line minimizer with any foundation purchase. This Pro Retinol Serum helps reduce fine lines and restore more youthful looking skin. Limit 1 per customer. Available now at Merle Norman, located inside Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor, 1108 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
During this challenging and unprecedented time, Gunderson's is here to serve with expert guidance and understanding to each family and their unique needs. We provide options for funeral, cremation, memorial, virtual, and webcast services, either presently or at a later date. We understand that grief does not wait. We are trained to help you walk this path to bring comfort and support. Every life deserves to be recognized and celebrated, whether it be together or afar.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm the Doctor of Truth, and with me now is the King of Fun.
King of Fun,
The King of Fun is Keith Dinklaw, County Supervisor Dinklaw. Again, I've made this observation several times. You and Linda know how to enjoy life.
That's right.
I'll tell you, you do.
just got back from a 10-day vacation. It was good. Out in Colorado.
Out in Colorado?
Good time.
Did you motorbike out there? Or?
No, we drove the car out there, the convertible out there, and then rode around the mountains and that, and went side by side.
Oh, you rented side by side?
Yeah, rented a side by side in Silverton, Colorado, and rode around there for 3 days with some people, and then went down to Durango and couple guys brought their motorcycles, so we followed them around in the hills on the motorcycles, went down a couple canyons, went over 2-3 passes. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Colorado's a neat state. I think Colorado's probably the prettiest state in the United States.
Oh, good. You
really
could be
is.
right.
It really is.
Somebody mentioned who mentioned this the other day where there's an area there where there's a road, but the drop off is like 5,000 feet or something.
That's the $1
ridiculous.
Million Highway.
$1 Million Highway.
We was
That's
on
right.
that. We went on
were
that.
You on that?
And it is. It's straight down. Straight down. You look down, you're driving, and it's straight down 1,000 feet, and there's no rails, no
1,000
nothing.
feet,
If you go down there, you're dead. If you go out, there ain't no going off the road there.
You know, you're at peace in a certain way with knowing. You know, I used to hang out of helicopters when I was in service.
Yeah.
I used to think, what am I concerned about? I lose my grip, I'm dead. Hey,
it's done.
Anyway, as far as the county supervisors are concerned, the board of supervisors, I should say, you had a meeting yesterday, as you usually do at 10 o'clock, didn't you?
No.
You did not have a meeting.
We're having meetings every 2 weeks.
Oh, now you're on a 2-week schedule?
I guess.
Is that just a summer thing, or is that going to be all the time?
We're going to vote on that, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm for having meetings once a week.
I am too.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to voice that then.
Is next Tuesday? Is there?
There's a meeting next Tuesday.
All right.
Because of the COVID thing, and everybody can't. We're trying to be safe, and we can do it every 2 weeks. So we're going to do it every 2 weeks till maybe September, and then we're going to look at it.
Well, if
see
it's a
how it
COVID
works.
thing, that would make sense.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the city just went to 2 meetings a month some years ago, and I never thought that was a good
Yeah.
idea.
Well,
they didn't care.
That's going to be another. that's a subject for another day.
Yeah, that's a subject for another day.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, but we had our department head meeting today, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the county. I can just say a few things. The engineers got a shoulder paving project down by Kalo. They're going from Kalo to Highway 20. We're going to put a Henderson access there for canoers and kayakers down at the bottom of the bridge there. So we paved the shoulders on both sides in case the bicyclers want to go down there and stuff. So that's going to be done today. So that should be done, I hope, today. And then we'll be putting the access in before winter.
Now,
Pedersons are going to do that.
Where is it again, please?
Kalo Bridge.
Yeah.
On the east side.
Okay.
We purchased some ground down there, and just be another in and out. You can you can leave Fort Dodge, you can get out there, park your car there, get out, or you can get on there and go to Dolliver or go to what's it called, the old Girl Scout camp. We bought that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that got me. So there's it's just another access to get in and out of the river.
Oh, okay.
Convenient, and you can park your car, a place to park your car where it's safe, and get in and out of the river. So you can get in. You can get in Fort Dodge. You can get in. You go to Dolliver. You can get in it. There's by the bridge by the airport, and go down by the Sunkist Meadows.
Sure.
So there's a lot of access there. So that should be done this week.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. And over on 130th Street where Deerwoods is, we're trying a new product called Auto Seal. It's a granular product. You use 3/8 rock, and you mix it with some fabric stuff that seals it, and then you lay it down, and then you drive on it for a month, and then you do it again, lay it down and pack it. And it's going to be, it's not as good as blacktop, but it's better than a gravel road. and it's way less than half the price. And it should last, we went and looked at one, the Humboldt County did it about 3 years ago on this road, and it looks really good yet. And they did it 3 years ago. There's no dust. It kind of makes it like a gravel, but it's hard surface. So, and there's no dust. So we're going to try it there, and if it does work there, we'll do it on some of our other gravel roads that are high maintenance.
Great idea. Yeah. I mean, especially with the price there.
Yeah. The paving project on Highway 20 is going to start July 28th, I believe it is.
Isn't 20 a state highway?
No, it's ours.
Highway 20 across
Highway
Webster
20,
County.
the old Highway 20.
Oh, the old highway.
The old Highway 20.
All right.
So that's going to be redone.
It's
D20.
D20.
The old Highway 20.
All right.
So that's going to be resurfaced. They're going to start it the Road and Bourne's there at Decker's Corner and go to the Hamilton County line.
Okay.
That'll be starting the end of the week.
That'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be starting the end of the week. It'll be done under traffic. But it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. It'll be under traffic, so if you might want to take another road out of town.
I should have realized.
Just warning people.
I should have realized you were talking about Old 20.
Yeah.
You know, I go out on Fifth Avenue South and still look for Big Bear, which hasn't been there for 30 years.
So I think I'd take the 10th Avenue North Blacktop over to Highview and miss the construction because it's going to be congested.
Yeah.
And they're starting at the day of the girls' softball tournament, which ain't going to be good, but we'll get through that. And there's another project. Let's see. Oh, it's on the back page here.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to get here. D43 is the blacktop east of Calendar. We're going to be replacing 2 bridges there on the blacktop, and that's going to be a 4 to 6 week process. So that blacktop is going to be closed.
Yeah.
So if you're on the blacktop east of Calendar, that's going to be starting next week too. And we got about 8 bridges going in the county, and that's one of them, and they're going to be starting. And that'll be a pretty big 8 bridges, yeah.
Wow.
2 on that highway.
Did we get
alone.
a lot of money from somewhere? Or
Them
what?
2 bridges are actually being replaced with federal money.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty good. It's a farm to market road.
Yeah, we like that.
So so it's going to be 100% state funded.
Okay.
So
Are they the
that's
older
really
kind
good.
of bridge or?
Probably.
Yeah.
And these are, I don't know what we're doing down there, but PCI's doing them, I believe. They're a good reputable company.
You and I talked a few years ago about all the substandard bridges in Winston.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them, and we're picking them off. Like I say, we're doing probably 8 or 10 this year. We do 8 or 10 every year.
Okay.
And it takes money to do them. You can do a culvert for $150,000, $200,000. If you got to do a bridge, it could be $1 million. So it's a big. If you're going over a creek and you got to put a bridge there, then it's $500,000, $800,000, $900,000. Depends on how long it is and how much how big a span it is.
Well, do most farmers prefer a bridge, or are they all right with the culvert?
The culverts work in dredge ditches because the water flow it isn't so much.
Mm-hmm.
But you get it on like Lizard Creek or one of the creeks, then you have to have a bridge.
Then you have to have a bridge.
because you can't slow the water down.
Yeah.
So you have to.
Or misdirect the water in any way.
No, you can't slow it down, speed it up, change this flotation. It's got to be the same. So you put a bridge over it, and the creek flows the same.
I think they should. That's only right.
Yes. Talked to the assessor, and they're just finishing up the commercial valuations now, and them valuations will be going into effect in the 2021 taxes. They just got through doing the informal and formal protests. If you got your assessment on your house and you didn't like what they were, you could go in and do an informal or a formal one. They did send out 16,000 assessments, and they did close to 500 protests, 300 informal and 200 formal.
Right.
That the Board of Review had to do, the formal ones. So that's been completed. The recorder's been working on digitizing or taking them off scanning them. She's done 8,000 off-road vehicle licenses that she's scanned now, so we can get rid of the paperwork.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, she's done 8,000 in the last couple months. They've gone through, so it's just a big project that needed to be done.
That is a big project.
And Lindsay took it on, and she's been working at it hard. And they've got 8,000 done. They got a couple thousand left, but she's really happy so far.
Okay,
she's going good with that. The sheriff's department. We had to buy all new radios for the sheriff's department.
For the sheriffs.
Yes, the new Motorola radios, big, huge expense. All the fire departments have different radios now, police department. They all have new radios. And in that process, we had purchased 6 radios for the schools. And we found out that 6 weren't enough. We needed 18. So we had to figure out a way to buy 12 more Motorola radios to the tune of $34,000. And through private donations and a little money from the foundation, we got that done.
Really?
Yes. So there'll be 18 radios going to all the schools that they'll have in case something happens.
Now, is the county partially responsible for schools that are in the county? Or are you talking about just Fort
These are
Dodge?
all the schools.
These are all the schools in the county?
In the county, yes. So Barnum, Northwest Webster has a school, I think, and down south has a school. St. Edmunds will have one. All the schools
Senior
will have
high?
a radio. All the schools,
all
18.
The schools.
There's
Okay.
18. We needed 18 radios. We had figured 6, but we got a few more.
Sure.
Oh, and now the auditor, she's looking, we got a big election coming up here in November, and with the COVID thing, she needs precinct workers. So most of the precinct workers are elderly people. It's a big job. They start at 6 in the morning and go till 9:30 at night, and they can't leave, so it's a big, huge job for them. Some of them, if you have a sick family member or something to this thing, if you get that when we're doing that, we need precinct workers, so you can go to the county website if you're interested in doing that.
Well, I'm elderly.
And helping out. So, and we really need them. And she's, damn it, Donnie Wallstrom.
Was that Donnie?
That was Donnie.
No kidding.
Yeah. So no, so she does need precinct workers. If you're interested in doing that, she would really, go online and apply for that.
Who's in charge of that now?
Doreen Pliner.
Doreen,
the auditor,
well, she's a nice person.
And it's, we have, I don't know, I forget how many precincts there is in this county, but there's a lot.
Lots, yeah.
And, if we can't find enough workers to work in all the precincts, then we're going to have to combine some. And
well,
that's,
I don't think anybody wants that, do
no,
they?
Well, they don't, but, they made all these precincts up years ago.
Sure they did. A lot more people.
A lot more. Well, you had horse and buggy, and you couldn't travel 20,
That's
30,
right.
10 miles to vote or 5 miles, So now you can get in the car. If if you had a precinct in Badger and one in Vincent, maybe you could have one in Badger and don't have the one in Vincent. Or don't have the one in Badger, have the one in Vincent, And because you can drive 10 miles to vote if you have to, I guess.
Okay.
It'd be an inconvenience, but not that big an inconvenience.
All right.
If we can't find workers, it's going to be a big thing. And she's struggling right now. And we need polling places, because we used to be able to do it at schools, and now the schools don't want a bunch of people coming in their buildings for a day. So
You're kidding me.
No, so we're not going to be able to probably use the schools anymore. So she's put out a letter to everybody, all the
when
precincts.
did that happen? I used to go over to Phillips Middle School for years.
Well, the COVID thing.
The COVID
thing. You got kids in school and the school's locked up, and you can't have a bunch of people going into school. It's just that way, So she sent letters out to all the precincts, seeing if we can still use the buildings. But if we can't, then she's gonna have to find a new place for the polling places. So she's got a big job in front of her. It's sad, but we'll get it worked through. And last but not least, the treasurer. You got to pay your taxes were due in March, but you got till July 25th to pay them. Well, as of today, 99.8% of the taxes have been paid.
All right.
So that's a good thing for some people are paying their taxes. 99.8. So she's pretty proud of that.
Okay, so I got to go over. By the way, you were talking. I got to go over and protest my tax assessment.
Can't. It's too late now.
It's too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
You had 2-3 weeks to do it.
Well,
to apply and get an appointment.
but I can do it next year, right?
Yeah. There's I think I forget when it's May or June. That you get the chance to do that, and you can do it informally or formally.
I'm not paying property taxes this year or next year, either one, so I'm okay right now.
Yeah.
In the future, the assessment seemed a little high considering the neighborhood I live in.
And we did have one of our county workers got killed in a motorcycle accident, Delmer Peterson.
Oh gosh.
Down by Lehigh, I guess. I was gone, but so give my condolences to the family there. And we are going to do a drive-by the house Friday. We're going to meet at 1 o'clock at Dolliver Park. Maybe have some of the county trucks and a couple of the fire departments down that way. He was active in the fire departments down there. They're going to just do a get together and drive by his house and show support to the family that way.
That's nice.
Because you can't go to the funeral homes and stuff now. So.
Well, that's a very nice gesture.
Yep, Friday at 1 o'clock if you're interested in driving by Delmer Peterson's residence. I think he lives in Boxholm. We're going to meet at Dolliver and then do the drive-by.
All right.
So you're welcome to come down and join us.
That's a very nice gesture. They did that for Steve Springer.
Yeah, and a lot of people did that. And, you can't go to the funeral home now. It's just one easier way to doing it.
This COVID thing's getting in the way of
a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Greg Horr was just talking about the county fair. There was greatly reduced, of course.
It sounds like they had stuff going on, though.
Oh,
and
they
had
did.
a good crowd with the stuff they did have go on. Had a good crowd, so
the
that's
kids
good.
got to show their animals. Which is
That's important.
That's important.
And they work on those animals all year.
Yes, they do.
and it's a big job, and it's important they get to show them.
Yeah, and it's a real sense of accomplishment
Yes.
once they get to the county fair. So I'm glad that happened.
For sure.
Glad that happened.
So that's what's going on in the county. I guess the courthouse clock towers maybe a week or week and a half behind schedule because of the wind we've had this summer, and they can't get up on top when it's windy. So
and some nasty wind over the weekend.
And we have some pieces coming from Italy. The copper is being formed in Italy, and
wow,
them copper flame things.
Mm-hmm.
They're being made in Italy and shipped over here. So it's kind of cool. They sent us some pictures of how they do it and what they're doing there. So we hope them come here on time. And we just got a letter from the judges today that the judge would like to have us require masks through the whole courthouse.
Okay.
And everybody in the courthouse wear masks. So we talked about that at the department head meeting. And the first thing was, how do you police that? Who's going to stand at the door and say you can't come in because you don't have a mask on? It's not going to be me. It's not good.
I was out to Menards the last couple of, not the last couple of nights, but the last couple of weeks. I think since the 13th, they have required masks out at Menards. And, yeah, they got somebody at the door.
Yeah, Walmart announced today you're going to have to
is that right?
wear a mask to come in. But they're a private business.
They're a private business.
We're a public building.
That's right.
You own that building, Mike, and I own the building.
Yep.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to require the people to have masks on the third floor. So they can walk through the courthouse, get up to the third floor. That's where the courtrooms are and the court personnel are. And they're going to have to wear a mask then. And if you're going up the elevator, you need a mask on. You probably should have a mask on anyway, but some people are deathly against it. So,
well, I don't
to each their own, I guess.
I don't like to do it, and I don't like to be told that I have to wear a mask. But I have a mask in both my cars, and I use them.
And you wear it when you need to.
Yes.
I do. So we ask that people, if you can wear a mask in the courthouse, please wear it. But if you're deathly against it, you have to wear it on the third floor.
Yeah.
And going up the steps. So
that doesn't sound bad.
No,
to me.
No, but it's just warning people that that's what's happening.
I would like to hear a little bit more talk about a vaccine or a cure rather than all this scaring us to death all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched NBC News last night, and 20 minutes of it was COVID, and people are dying all over the country. And God, I'm going to watch cartoons on some channel.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch this crap anyway. All right.
Well, they took the gun away from Looney Tunes too, didn't they? They said
they probably did.
They did. Yeah, they can't have Daffy Duck getting hunted.
Wile E. Coyote was probably a racist for chasing a roadrunner all over hell. No.
I don't know.
I don't either. But
life is good in the county.
Life is good. All right, Keith, thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you.
Our guest has been Webster County Supervisor Keith Dinklow.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 4:29. The news is coming up.
The General Store is back. That's right. The General Store is open. Come shop the General Store every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 till 4. Stop into the General Store where you'll find tons of spring and summer clothes for the whole family. And remember, everything at the General Store is always tax-free, and all proceeds go toward helping people in our community. If you've been holding on to your donations, you can drop those off now too. Everyone at the General Store is looking forward to seeing you today. The General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
At Jim's Carpet One Floor and Home, we're here to help with a home project you've been waiting to do. And when you come in now, you can save up to $1,000 during our Save Big, Shop Small sale, and even with special financing available. Hi, this is Dean Sternberg with Jim's Carpet One. Come into Jim's Carpet One and find a perfect new floor for the way you live in a comfortable neighborhood setting. We're also ready to meet with you virtually, by private appointment, or in the comfort of your own home. Jim's Carpet One, we're back and excited to meet with you.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference, like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
The Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless use of a firearm, and carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third after opening the inning with a pair of walks. They would then score 2 more in the fifth to go up 4-0. They would win from there. St. Edmund unable to get anything going offensively. They threatened in the fourth but failed to score. John Nimmers and Kel Colasia both with doubles in the game. Dylan Elbert, the winning pitcher for Ogden, going 6 2/3, scattering 5 hits, shutting out the Gales. A tough loss on the hill for Gales pitcher Kel Colasia. He worked 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 4 runs, striking out 10 while walking 5. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. Dodgers struck first, scoring 2 in the first. Indianola got 1 in the fourth. Dodgers added 2 insurance runs in the sixth. TK Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Jalen Adams the win in the circle, throwing a complete game, scattering 6 hits, allowing 1 run, striking out 9. Dodgers ranked number 1 in 5A. They improved their record to 25-3. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. They're back in action Friday, hosting Ames for the first round of the playoffs at McNeil Field, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Newell Fonda cruised past Ridgeview 10-0. Softball playoffs on the schedule tonight. In 3A, Algona hosts Garner Hayfield Ventura, and Humboldt will host Southeast Valley. Here's Humboldt head coach Doug Van Pelt on tonight's matchup.
They're 11-4 now, I believe. It's pretty salty winning percentage, and so that's 2 good teams meeting up in the first round of the regionals. Yeah, they of course have our attention, so they're going to be familiar with each other, and they have a tradition of playing really good softball, Southeast Valley, and they know how to win, they know how to compete.
Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in the second round at Cleghorn, a 7 p.m. first pitch. Join Brian Peters on the call of that one on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com.
That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 4:35. Dr. Lee Heeb will be on the air with us in about 5 minutes. First of all, on the weather, it's still 70 degrees, a little overcast in places. We may have some thunderstorms this evening yet. Certainly we will overnight. We'll have an overnight low, by the way, of 56, which is cool for this time of the year. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 85. Friday, sunny with a high of 90. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 95 degrees. On Sunday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny with a high of 90. Monday, a chance of thunderstorms, sunny with a high of 86. Tuesday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Our high on Tuesday will be 85 degrees. Right now, again, 70 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Richard Serra of Ankeny, formerly the Fort Dodge area, died on Monday at the Sunnyview Care Center in Ankeny. That's Richard L. Serra, 86, formerly of Fort Dodge. Carol Reese has died at the age of 74. Carol J. Reese of Fort Dodge died on Tuesday at the Paula J. Bieber Hospice Home. Services are pending for Carol J. Reese. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue, South Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. 436 at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a quarter penny at $3.26 1/4. December up a quarter cent at $3.34. March unchanged at $3.44 1/2. May unchanged at $3.51 3/4. August soybeans up 8 1/4 at $8.86 1/4. September beans up 6 1/2 at $8.80 3/4. November up 5 1/4 at $8.82 3/4. January up 4 cents at $8.87 1/4. September wheat closed up 24 cents at $5.50 3/4. Soybean meal up 60 cents a ton at $2.85.80. August live cattle up $2.50 at $101.30. October up $1.45 at $104.55. August feeders up $2.70 at $139.42. September up $2.07 at $139.55. July lean hogs up 52 cents at $47.32, and August up 22 at $50.15. I am Dwayne Murley.
I'm Connell McShane. This is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks finishing higher on encouraging coronavirus vaccine news, with the Dow rising 228 points, the Nasdaq up 62, S&P 500 up 29. And the nation's largest grocery store chain is making moves to reduce the spread of the coronavirus. Kroger will be requiring customers in all locations to wear a mask when shopping in stores beginning on July the 22nd. Kroger's employees are already required to wear face coverings. If customers are unable to wear a mask or an alternative design, Kroger is requesting that they use its e-commerce services like pickup or delivery. Kroger joining other retailers like Walmart, Best Buy, and Starbucks requiring that shoppers wear face coverings. And Chipotle is hiring. The burrito chain adding 10,000 staffers as it opens more stores with drive-through lanes for digital orders. The company says its digital sales have surged 80%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will be ready to award $7,000 a week for life. That's $7,000 a week, week after week, for life. Don't miss your last chance to win. Go to PCH.com and enter before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/26. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
It's Virtual Country Thunder. Alpha Media and the Western Edge present Virtual Country Thunder. And your chance to sing on the Country Thunder stage Labor Day weekend in Forest City. To enter, submit a 30-second video of you singing your favorite country song a cappella. On August 6th, we'll announce our 10 finalists who will compete for a chance to be in the spotlight on the Country Thunder stage. Submit your entry and get complete contest rules now at yourfortdodge.com. It's Virtual Country Thunder and your chance to win from this Alpha Media station.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and the vet wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin, and all right. I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin, he doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I'm the Doctor of Truth, and joining me is Dr. Lee Heeb, a libertarian, a former candidate for governor, and a regular on this program for many, many years. She is an orthopedic surgeon, which means she's a real doctor, not a sociologist or psalm sayer or whatever the hell it is. Lee, how you doing today?
Well, good.
Well, I'm glad.
Through the week.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Like I say, I made it through last week. It's almost like feeling like it's just get it through one day at a time, one week at a time.
That is the
I'm not
truth.
the only one feeling that way.
No, I think one day at a time is an accurate description of what's happening in our country. I mean, the COVID thing is, I would like to find a physician somewhere, an actual doctor, who will do something other than try to scare the living hell out of us. Is all this hysteria that we see coming from the medical community, in your opinion, is it justified?
Well, no. I mean, but again, when you say medical community, please excuse the actual treating physicians. These aren't the people bringing you this. And that's what I was going to. One of the things that I'm giving a talk this summer in Las Vegas, and one of the things, I just made a slide, and it shows a pyramid. And it's about differential knowledge, and I think we talked about that a little last week, that if I know something you don't, I can use that knowledge to wield power over you. And, we talk about these guys being technocrats, these medical bureaucrats like Tony Fauci, and I hate to just pick on him, but he's the most obvious one. But the term technocrat actually comes from, technos is skill or art, but krat comes from kratos, who is the Greek god who is the divine personification of power. So what we've got is people that have a knowledge that you and I may not have, and they're using it to exercise power over us. You can argue about what the purpose of all this is, but if you want to control a population, one of the first things you can do is just kind of debilitate them through confusion. I mean, how many people feel confused? I mean, it's no wonder people feel confused, because we've been told, first, don't wear masks, this is no problem, then wear masks, then don't wear masks, this is a problem, oh wait, it just goes on. I mean, they switch and flip-flop. They don't just, and by random chance alone, if they really wanted to allay fears, they would tell us very clearly what we could do, what makes this better, how we can treat this. But they fail to do that at every level along the way, and I'm not the only one saying that. Now, I noticed, I'm blanking on his name, but he's the trade secretary, Peter Navarro. He just said that he had an op-ed, and he basically said that Fauci's been, quote, wrong about everything. And, Senator Kennedy, this is kind of a milquetoast comment, but at least he's in the right direction. He says some politicians like the political chaos from keeping schools closed. You think? I mean, really, it's not it's a lot of politicians like political chaos, because you can't control people that are organized, have time to think about things, and can be independent. I mean, in my opinion, this is part of this total Western civilization takedown. I might be, maybe people can think I'm crazy, but there's a plot behind this beyond.
No. I don't.
Got a sickness.
I don't.
You're not in disagreement. I don't think about that.
No. There's a lot of people who agree with you, including me.
And so one of the things I looked up today, here's one of the big parts of this differential knowledge, was how we save people's lives in this virus, right? And one of the things I looked at is how many, if you look, there are three groups of people here. There are the super elites, the people that have brought us this show, the people in charge of this, and I'm really talking about the senior level politicians. I'm not talking about the mayor of your town. I'm talking about senior level people at global control switches. And I'm talking about, people like Bill Gates and Tony Fauci and all the people that could affect how this is run, okay? The elite. How many of them have died? I've only found one. Now, maybe somebody could call in and correct me on this, but and I'm not counting some Hollywood person that died. I'm talking about, which we might consider elite in other ways, but I'm talking about power elites that could actually affect the change of this. I don't know anyone except there was one, like, vice president in Nigeria or some African country that died. And I got to say, maybe he's just not that elite. Maybe that was not what they cared about. I mean, really. There's only been one, but there are over 600 doctors and nurses dead, and there are over 580,000 of the average citizen dead. So this pyramid, to me, demonstrates the differential knowledge. In other words, these people, if you look at the overview of the situation, using statistics, there should be more than one political elite dead, but they don't die. Even though Xi Jinping walked, remember when he walked down the street in Wuhan, and he didn't have any special mask or respirator on that was worthwhile. The doctors there were saying it gets into your eyes. You got to have goggles. You're not going to save yourself with a mask. But he just walks down the street with a mask because he knew he was probably on hydroxychloroquine. That's the power of differential knowledge. So one thing to always remember is, if disease comes around and doctors can't save themselves, they may not be the first people to know what's going on, but they're going to be the second tier. And when they can't save themselves and the nurses and the people in the hospital, which you need to take care of others, that's the time to be afraid and go to ground. But the other issue here is, I have heard, and I don't know if you've heard this, but I've been hearing people talk about this as a big psyop, that this isn't real. It's just a psychological operation against people. And I had been kind of dismissing that, but I'm not really dismissing this anymore. You cannot be wrong about everything accidentally. I mean, they say things that is basically wrong if you know anything about the transmission of disease. And they're doing it in such a way to create fear and confusion. And so, and by the way, one of the things they're talking about, right, is keep trying to hype up there's going to be a second wave. But there's a big, it's called the Karolinska COVID-19 Study Group. It's a big group, and they're in Stockholm, Sweden. And they published a thing that said there's no second wave, and they have it's a pretty big scientific article. But they put a one-sentence summary, which I've never seen that written that way in a scientific paper, but I thought these guys are kind of pissed off, and they're going to make this point clear.
Sure.
Their one-sentence summary was this, that SARS-CoV-2 induces robust memory T-cell responses in antibody seronegative and antibody seropositive individuals with asymptomatic or mild COVID. Now, to translate that, what it means is whatever the testing that you had done, whether you're antibody positive, whether you're antibody negative, it doesn't matter. We have got a worldwide resistance growing to this virus. And this paper then was quoted by Pavel Volchkov, who's a Russian geneticist and virologist person, head of genomic engineering lab in Moscow, and he says there is not going to be a second wave. We've already had immunity between about 60% of the population, and it's growing rapidly. Now, why aren't our people saying that? Do you know what I mean? Why do we have to, not everybody has access to find all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's out there, but we're not being told it by any of our media. And I mean, with the exception of you and me, maybe. But my point is, I'm starting to reassess my idea that this is a psychological psyop. And one of the things that there's a term called cognitive dissonance, and basically it makes people extremely anxious. Okay. And it's basically when your understanding of the world around you, when your understanding of reality doesn't conform with what you're experiencing. So, for doctors, it's like, wait a minute, why would the CDC not want to treat us right? Why would it not want us to use hydroxychloroquine and budesonide and these other treatments that are coming out? Why would they not want to tell us about vitamin D? It's very anxiety-provoking. Well, and for the average person, it's like, well, what kind of mask am I supposed to wear? Really, does it make a difference? Or what am I, all this stuff is anxiety-provoking for a reason. And there's been a lot of studies on this. The guy that talked about the Manchurian candidate, and after the Korean War, this is a history I didn't know last week when we talked, but after the Korean War, there was this people, the government and people in power, they started wondering, what did the Chinese, did they have some kind of magic that could make our military people that were captured change and become like programmed? I mean, do they have some magic to that? And this guy named Biederman, who's written extensively on this, he said no, they use basic psychological manipulation, which is basically, it has to do with creating a dread that people will do anything to get out of. And he had a chart of coercion of how you create this dread. The first thing, guess what? It's isolation. And we've got that in space, quarantine. People forget that that where you and I might have been quarantined in our house with our families, many of these older people, they were literally by themselves in their house, or they were in solitary confinement in a nursing home. I mean, this is horrible. And we were, I can't go to Canada to get to my bank account up there because we're travel restricted. It's like one thing after another. And then his other thing is second thing is you monopolize perception. So if you're stuck in your house, you can't talk to people. You only hear what the 24/7 news cycle says. And they send out a repetitive narrative. And they're censoring all these dissenting voices. You got to laugh at one of these things. Who is it? Amazon Bezos. Amazon censored the movie Killing Free Speech, which is a documentary about censorship. And you got
that's perfect. I like that.
Really? I mean, how can that possibly be? But that's the kind of thing that's happening. But you know it's being censored because if you speak out and say anything, like being a climate denier or a Holocaust denier, now you can be a COVID denier, And in fact, they have a term, another one on Biderman's chart of coercion is degradation. If you choose to be personally free and go to the beaches in Florida, like a lot of these young people did during break time, they're called COVIDians. We degrade people. Right. Isn't that funny? And Eminem now has produced a rap track criticizing non-mask wearers, even though,
Eminem, social activist. I like that little dirtbag is a social activist.
But it goes, and it goes on and on about all the steps. There are 9 steps in this chart of coercion, and basically all these things are happening, like enforcing trivia demands, standing on a line at Hy-Vee, right? Or one of the things is they threaten you. Okay, one of the threats, I don't know if you know about this, but they're threatening in California to take people's children away, or they were, if they tested positive. They threaten you to close your business. They threaten that we're going to have to pull on COVID quarantine.
They threaten to ruin your life. That's what they do. They threaten to ruin your life.
Right, and so people start complying because they're so afraid. They just want to get out from under this horrible anxiety. And I don't think, as FDR said, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. What conclusions should we take away from this? I mean, this is essentially like it's global psychologic torture in a way.
Yes.
And it's for the purpose of having us conform. Now we're being told this is the new normal, right?
Well, this is to tell us who has the power, who has the absolute authority. We'll call you a racist. You may not be a racist, but once it's out there, and you're done. You're cooked. You're going to be fired. I mean, there are case after case after case where innocent people have simply reported the facts and they've been fired because they don't. Right. Because the truth, in fact, does not coincide with whatever the rant is lately. So, it's a very and our leaders, Lee, look at our pathetic leadership on this issue. I mean, they let this sort of hysteria go through our streets as far as COVID is concerned, as far as practically everything is concerned. This is our leadership. There is no leadership on this. Nobody can stand up to anybody.
About almost anything.
Almost anything is right.
I mean, changing the name of Fort Bragg. You know what?
God.
I spent 9 years. I was fined 9 years in the Navy. Now, maybe that's because I wasn't Army and I wasn't down at Fort Bragg, other than just to teach a trauma course. But I didn't know that Bragg was named after a Confederate general. And by the way, it was a Confederate colonel that invented either Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So if you're going to be, what are you going to do about that? I mean, when we roll over on these kinds of things, we're going to roll over on anything. Our political leaders.
Anything.
And they just passed that in the Congress, a bill that would allow them to, some funding bill that would fund the renaming of bases, like we need funding for this, right? So, I mean, that's a little off the subject, but this is not just the COVID. It's a combination of a lot of things happening in the world today that is ultimately taking away our freedom. It's going to take away our freedom.
Yes,
and,
yes.
The good news, I got to leave you with some good news, though. The good news on this whole thing is doctors are waking up, and they're individual private physicians. We're not talking about the Harvard boys here or the CDC. We can't get anything new from them. In fact, ask yourself, what has the CDC done that has made anything better in this? And the answer is I can't come up with one. The only people that have done things to make it better are the private doctors all over the world, and some university guys that have come up like with the that pointed out the hydroxychloroquine, okay? And the prevention of vitamin D, that was in the adhesion. Well, now we've got, and by the way, hydroxychloroquine treatment to cure you is about $8. They now have there's another doctor that in Texas, and I'm blanking on his name, I should remember it, who showed that Pulmicort, which is an asthma medicine, nebulizer, can also keep you from going bad with this. It costs about $88 for the treatment course. And now we've got another new one since I talked to you last. It's fenfibrate, or there's another name for that. It's a Tricor. And I call my Tricor is it's a lipid lowering kind of thing. But apparently one of the ways that this virus kills you is by putting fat globules and stuff in your lungs. And he showed that for a 30-day treatment with fenofibrate is $18.95 at my local pharmacy, and is widely available. So these people are coming up with things. Now, what has Tony Fauci told us? Remdesivir. The cost of a treatment course of remdesivir to private insurance is $3,120, and it's not all that effective. So somebody tell me a motive other than what I'm saying. This is a financial and a control mechanism. It's a total global control mechanism.
Yes, it is, and it opposes every instinct. If you're an American, it should oppose every instinct you have in your body. Everything that our country has ever been about is being vigorously opposed from within right now. And we simply do not have the leadership to deal with it. So leadership is going to have to come from us, because the governor of our state, the governor of every state, mayors of major cities are just cowards. Cowards.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
We need to take our government back locally, and now the one that there are 5 states. I'll just give the governor kudos for one thing, and that is she is not made the use of hydroxychloroquine illegal, but she has not stood up for doctors wanting to use it for whoever comes in the door. There are only 5 states that did that, and the Nebraska governor is one of them, thank God. So we Iowan doctors can save our patients through using the Nebraska pharmacies, and I think that's sad. So and she probably doesn't even know that's going on. But
all right.
But that's because of her position on the board.
We got to go, Lee. Thank you very much.
Anyway, thanks.
You bet.
Yep.
This is AM 1400 KVFD.
How do you like your sandwich? Do you prefer turkey or ham, mayo or mustard, crunchy or creamy peanut butter? No matter what you like to put on your sandwich, everyone agrees that a really good sandwich should start with a really great bread. That's why the bakers of Country Hearth put so much care into making their natural breads. Baked with good stuff like toasted whole grains and natural honey, you're sure to find a variety that's just right for you. So no matter how you like your sandwich, Country Hearth has the perfect bread to build it on. Country Hearth Bread, baking our best for you.
Thank you, everybody who listened today. I really appreciate it. It's 5 o'clock. This is KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Infections soaring. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Florida with more than 10,000 new COVID-19 infections, and the city that's considered the center of the state's outbreak is considering what to do next.
Miami's mayor is warning that if the COVID situation does not start improving soon, the city may go from the current partial reopening back to full-on shutdown.
We do have an issue with our hospitals very, very close to or very nearing capacity, and we are trying to create more capacity. And we do, we may have to take some dramatic measures if things don't improve over the next few weeks.
Florida's governor announced that 3,000 nurses are going to be brought in from out of state to help strained hospitals and ICU wards, some of which are at capacity or getting close to capacity.
Fox's Phil Keating in Miami. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi urging President Trump to use the Defense Production Act to speed up testing for the virus, saying it's the only way to safely reopen the country.
Testing, tracing, treating, isolating.
distancing.
The Defense Production Act allows the president to compel businesses to produce equipment needed to battle the virus. It was used earlier this year to get businesses to make PPE and ventilators. The family of George Floyd has announced it's suing the city of Minneapolis and the 4 police officers criminally charged in his death, claiming his rights were violated when he was restrained, and the city has allowed a culture of excessive force, racism, and impunity to flourish in its police force.
While all of America is dealing with the public health crisis of the coronavirus pandemic, Black America has to deal with another public health pandemic of police brutality.
Family attorney Ben Crump, the mayor's office, saying it can't comment on pending litigation. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, if you're looking to cut costs and free up some cash on a monthly basis, start today with Pure Talk USA. Now, the average family of 4 is saving over $800 a year on cell phone service by switching to Pure Talk USA. Now, every plan includes unlimited talk and text. And by the way, it just starts at $20. So switch to Pure Talk today. Just dial pound 250 keyword Pure Radio. Pure Talk USA, simply smarter wireless. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text from Pure Talk USA.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
If you missed a turn, there's always another turn.
Always.
Take it to get back to the turn you missed.
Use your turn signal.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents Roadside Assistance. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
With your KVFD news update, I'm Rob Jones. Iowa Central Community College announced yesterday they are adjusting their fall schedule. The Board of Trustees approved the new start and break days at their meeting yesterday. Dr. Dan Kinney, the president of Iowa Central, says classes will begin Tuesday, August 18th, which is a week earlier than the original plan. Classes will continue through November 25th. Students will then start Thanksgiving break. Dr. Kinney said, quote, "We are adjusting our start date in response to the ongoing COVID-19 situation. The health and safety of our students, faculty, and employees is our top priority, and we believe this is the right approach for the current circumstances," end quote. Following Thanksgiving break, students will finish the last week of the semester through online classes. The first semester concludes on December 7th. The second semester of classes for the school is scheduled to start January 6th. 17-year-old Fort Dodge resident Isaiah Christopher Mosley has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. Mosley is being charged as an adult with attempted murder, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, going armed with intent, reckless carrying weapons. His charges stem from a shooting incident last August here in Fort Dodge, in which a house and vehicle on 10th Avenue Southwest were damaged by gunfire. A witness reportedly saw the incident and gave police information that led them to believe that Mosley was the shooter. There were no injuries reported from the incident last August. Mosley's trial date has yet to be set. In a game heard on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com last night, the St. Edmund Gales baseball team fell in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Ogden 4-0. Game was scoreless through 2 innings. Ogden would get 2 runs in the third. They would then score 2 more in the 5th. The Gales end their season with a record of 5-4. Fort Dodge softball a win last night on senior night, 4-1 over Indianola. TK Doster with 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. Fort Dodge baseball a win at Carroll, 11-10 in their regular season finale. Playoff softball on your radio tonight. St. Edmund taking on MMCRU in a second round at Cleghorn, a 7 p.m. first pitch on Sunny 99.7 and online at yourportdodge.com.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly cloudy skies tonight.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Chris is with us in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Yeah, I just had a question. My wife and I are out of debt and have always invested every month in mutual funds, similar to what you talk about. And I'd like to get into real estate and just want to know better how to get comfortable, right? I understand mutual funds. I'm comfortable with them. You know, putting $150,000 or $200,000 down in, one buy for a house just seems a little overwhelming to me.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a lot of money, and especially if it's a large percentage of your world. If it's a high percentage of your net worth going into that is nerve-wracking, which makes you, it makes you just slow down and be very, very wise about it. And so typically there's two kinds of fear. There's the kind of fear that says, I'm scared of driving a car because I've never driven one before, or riding a bike because I've never ridden one before. And that's a kind of fear that says, the more knowledge I have, the less fear I'm going to have. The other kind of fear is don't touch a hot stove or walk out in front of a bus, which keeps you alive.
Yeah.
You're not going to get over that kind of fear because you shouldn't. It's keeping you from harm. But not understanding a mutual fund so you don't put money into it is a knowledge-based or lack of knowledge-based fear, and the same thing with you with the real estate. So the way to overcome it is just spend time studying and spend time looking at deals, and don't be in a hurry. And don't let anybody pressure you, and don't let anybody roll their eyes that you don't know what you're doing. You're the guy standing there with the freaking money. So you just take your time. The money in real estate investing, when you get ready to buy a house as your first rental at real estate investment, money in real estate is made primarily at the buy.
Okay.
So you want
to... So would you work with an agent to teach you
that'd
how
be
to do
fine.
that, or just...
That'd be fine,
Okay.
but I wouldn't rely exclusively on them. It's a matter of, it won't hurt my feelings. It might hurt the agent's feelings. They might not want to screw with you, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings if you walked through 50 houses before you bought one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did that and...
Just to make sure you get a good deal.
What area of Atlanta are you in?
We're kind of in the north suburbs.
Like what, Alpharetta or?
Yeah, kind of the Alpharetta, Roswell area.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. So, if you looked at 50 houses over the next 3 years, that's an exaggeration. But versus what you know today, if you looked at the numbers, looked at the comparable sales, looked at the price per square foot, looked at what they're renting for, look at what types of rentals people are looking for, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 5 bedroom in your area. You look at all these different things, then you, in a sense, are making a non-purchase decision on a whole bunch of properties, but you get very, very familiar with the numbers. And they just start to leak out of your eyes and your ears at that point. Versus right now, part of the fear comes, you just don't know the numbers. But if you can walk up to a house and go, houses in this area going for $235 a foot, this idiot's asking $400, I'm wasting my time. But you looked at 40 of them, and you know that. You don't even have to look it up on the computer. You don't have to have the pull comps. You don't have to do anything because you've internalized the information by doing due diligence. And so what you've got to do is look at a bunch of different things. Now, I'm saying 50 and I'm saying 2 years. It doesn't take that many, but I'm saying all of that to make my point that the more knowledge you have of that house over there, I've looked at 6 just like it. They all rented for $1,200, and the only way this deal works is if it rents for $1,400, so this deal doesn't work. And you can just say that in your head because you have the base knowledge from having kicked the tires a bunch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And is there a certain percentage, or that's something you just learn, like, hey, percentage of price value that you want to build a rent for?
I try to buy a house on residential, and I try to buy all our property this way. It's very difficult in a market that's this hot. I'll go ahead and tell you up front. And I haven't bought a property in a while because we're building a large office building, and that concrete hole's taking all my money. But when we were buying property, the last time we bought property, which was a few years back, our formula is we try to buy it for 70% of what we think the actual retail value is. Which also means you're gonna make a lot of people mad with low offers, and it's like a specialty of mine. I'm not trying to make you mad. I got money, but I can close by Friday. But if you can buy a $200,000 house for $140,000, you can make this work. You can make it work every time.
That makes sense when you have cash on hand, and we're not in a rush because we're not trying to move into the house.
Exactly, and I don't care if it needs, if it's got heavy repairs, I might deduct repairs from that as well. But if I got to run a coat of paint through it, some carpet, and tear the bushes out, that's okay. I'm spend $5 or $10,000 on it, whatever. But if you got $150,000 when everything's done in a property that's worth $200,000, most properties, you just poke around. It changes from market to market. But you're generally going to find about 1% a month of value. So a $200,000 house typically around $2,000 a month in rent. And that's a rough and dirty, and that will change from market to market. So you need to learn that for your market. Sometimes they'll run at a factor higher than that. But if you pay cash for $150,000 for something, and you can roll $24,000 off in top line minus expenses to get to your net profit on that property in cash on cash returns in a year, you will make good money. You'd be at an 8 to a 10% rate of return on your money before we got to appreciation, which also adds to your the fact that $150,000 house is now worth $200,000. You've already made $50,000 before we started. And so the appreciation starts to kick into your overall rate of return. But I look at a cash-on-cash rate of return after monthly expenses, after annual expenses. I want to be in that 8 to 10 range, and that under 80% of value, 70% is what I aim for on a residential property. A single family will typically get me there. Is that logical?
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I think it's just about the knowledge, like you said, to get comfortable.
Yeah, just like, okay, I've driven 6 different kinds of sports cars that cost around $50,000, and I know that the Lexus has this, I know that the Beamer has that, and you can start to make a comparison. But until you went and got in them and drove them and looked at the horsepower and the chassis, the suspensions, the technology available on them, until you've done some shopping, you don't know if you're getting a good deal on the one you're looking at. And comparison and knowledge of the marketplace is what gives you that. And I do that in anything I'm buying. I just become an expert on it, and I wear people out for a while until I get my knowledge base up. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Hey guys, it's Dave Ramsey. I want to talk about my top choice for home security, Simply Safe. I've known these guys personally for years. From day one, they engineered their system to be as simple as possible, with no trade-offs for your safety. Simply Safe is simple to set up, even simpler to use, and most important, it protects your whole home 24/7 better than anything I've ever seen. Visit simplysafedirect.com now, and you'll get a free security camera.
School is around the corner. This is your chance to teach your kids about money so they never have to be at the mercy of a slow economy. We have some incredible best-selling children's products for you. The Adventure Pack is filled with storybooks and activities about how to save, spend, and give. If you've got teens, the Teen Entrepreneur Toolbox will teach them hard work and responsibility while they earn extra cash. Find these great deals at the online store at DaveRamsey.com or call our Ramsey Concierge team at 888-22-PEACE.
Hey guys, if you've been investing in 2020, I know you're probably shaken up by all the changes in the market. But listen, the market will bounce back. What we've seen this year is not an indication that